Hey everyone, Empyrean here, and today we have a long video for you guys. This is the entire November 8th presentation that GGG has invited us. I have all this footage locally also, but maybe it has been slightly edited, maybe some things have been cut out, but I'm pretty sure this is the entire presentation because it was about 1 hour 40 minutes and this is a 1.5 hour video with 5 minutes being the cutscene, which is not in here, the cinematic. So we're gonna watch this today, look at some pictures, maybe pause a little bit, maybe yap a little bit. So, you know, get your popcorn. Here's some pictures I have from that I took on my phone from the event. This is at the entrance at the hotel. This was the art book that you can buy as part of one of the supporter packs. They had a 1 life flask, 1 mana flask, PoE2 shirt. This was the entrance, and then they had a whole bunch of PCs set up there. It looked like this. So I was sitting in the back there next to Havoc. We were playing for a couple of hours, and then here is the presentation. That's me. That's a Diablo podcast guy, very cool guy. Met here, chatted a lot about PoE2. So this has endgame footage. This is basically a less polished version of the presentation that we all watched together at the live stream, but it has some different bosses. It has some new content that you may not have seen if you've only seen the presentation. So yeah, nobody played endgame. Okay, endgame is completely undiscovered. All we know about the endgame is what they showed on this presentation on November 8th and what they showed on the official live stream on November 21st. Nobody has access to endgame. Nobody played it. Nobody has it figured out. It's gonna be a wild west. We're all gonna jump in together and you know, discover it for ourselves, which I think is really cool. I really don't like it when there's already fully figured out guides out there for everything before the game even comes out. So it's really cool of GGG to, you know, at least early access, let it be a complete Wild West of discovery. So big props for them for that. So let's get started. So this is Octavian playing and Jonathan standing behind him explaining to the crowd what he's doing.
What we're going to do here is we're going to go through the character classes that going to be playing in early access, and while we're doing that, we're going to explain the different ways that you have to develop your character. Now, as I said before, I like to keep things pretty casual. This isn't some kind of hyper-polished presentation. And Octavian, who's playing, is going to be using cheats and so on, so you know he might have to die and revive, but hopefully it goes okay. So we're going to start off with the monk. So the monk is a fast melee fighter. He cares a lot about momentum in combat.
He's the biggest backseater, yeah.
Now
he's cool.
He does a lot of damage, but he isn't necessarily that strong physically in terms of defenses. So you're going to want to stay back and
let me know if volume is good.
Out of combat very quickly. Now, like all classes, the monk was going to want to mix and match a few different combos. And one of the things we really like to do with our skills is make sure that we've got a lot of things that can take advantage of different situations. Yeah, in this particular case, Octavian is freezing monsters with this Wave of Frost, and then he's using Glacial Cascade to kill them if he hits the thing. If the end of the Glacial Cascade hits the monster and it's frozen, then it will do a AoE damage. And
it's very positional. You have to like
do a lot of damage.
Be at a certain range so that you can freeze them at the end. And
so if you hit monsters using regular attacks, then you'll charge those skills up. An example of this is Tempest Bell. So here we're going to create a bell, and then if you hit the bell, it'll do damage around it. You can also add status ailments to the bell. So for example, you could freeze it like he was doing there, which will add cold damage. You can also set it on fire or do
a little bit less.
You know, shock it and this kind of thing. So that's sort of just like a really quick rundown of the kind of skills you can expect on the monk. But how do you get skills in the first place?
There's an effigy.
Well, the answer to that is skill gems. So the way that you get skill gems are items that you can find in the world, and if you right-click on one, you can choose what skill you want to get. Now, we're trying to keep the skill system feeling as much as possible simple for new players. There's 2 things you can do here. You can either level up an existing skill or you can pick a new one, and that kind of interface is quite familiar. We have added things like tutorial videos for every skill.
Frozen locusts will explode when attacked by you or your enemies.
So there is videos for almost every skill. Whenever you find a skill gem, you can click the skill gem and it shows you how the skill gem looks in game.
Effectively,
and it like explains like how it
functions. Now, what
functions.
you do once you've got a skill gem is put it into your skill screen, and once you've done that, you can bind it and use it. This particular skill is called Frozen Locust that creates a little ice ball there, and then you can detonate that with your Glacial Cascade if you want, since it counts as a frozen object. Or the monsters can attack it and explode it that way, or you could use it in front of a boss who's about to slam and explode it that way. So that's a sort of basic rundown on how you get skills.
There are no
mentioning
videos
that,
for
you can also use skills across other classes as well. So what we saw there was just the skills for this one class. If we open up the screen again, you can see that the skills for the other classes.
So you can look at every weapon, and they have their own like weapon-specific skills, but every class can use every weapon. So the only downside of playing a class that isn't the main of that weapon is your starting position at the tree. So you're basically like taxing yourself. You know, if you want to play a crossbow witch, you can, but you're going to start at the witch location on the tree, and then you're going to have to path to all the good crossbow stuff instead of the witch, which is, you know, mostly summoner and spell and all that stuff.
Are still available.
You can play anything with anything.
You can use them just as well. And then there's lots of different interesting combinations you can use across classes too.
Yep.
So that's just a quick rundown on what you can expect for the monk. Now we're going to move on to the sorceress. So the sorceress is our primary elemental spellcaster. She's going to attack mostly from range. She has high damage but low survivability. The area we're entering here is in Act 3 called the Forge. This is an area like an ancient Vaal forge where they were making various, forging various gold things.
They turn up the sound every time when there's like a boss fight coming.
So she's using a combination of lightning and fire here. Once again, there's lots of interesting combos that we want to do, but one of the things that I'd really like to kind of show you to get a taste for one of the other character development areas we have in PoE2
Stationary
is
static orb.
So support gems are, in PoE2, you get them by finding an uncut support. And when you open this by default, what you're going to see is just a few recommendations. If you go through the different skills.
So all of this, everything that will show up in the recommendation will work with the actual spell. So you're not going to see anything ever on this stream that is like doesn't work with your
on the left,
gem.
There's different recommended
This
skill
is really
gems
nice for new players.
For each skill that you have. So what we're trying to do is just make sure that for new players, it's very easy for them to pick something that's just going to work. In this case, what we might do for Spark is pick Pierce. The reason why that's good is because Spark is a skill that creates a lot of projectiles that run around the ground and then bounce off walls. If we're able to pierce through monsters, it means that they can bounce off a wall and potentially hit a monster again. So that can make it a lot more powerful when you are filling up areas.
This is really nice for like inside zones. Like close
we're going to try and
like
relight up the forge here in order to be able to get to the boss. So that's what Octavian's doing here. So one of the other things that we might want to pick is multiple projectiles for one of our skills. So for example, we've got Fireball. If you fire it without multiple projectiles.
So opening the skill gem panel did not pause the game on the build that I was playing at this event. But for him here, it pauses the game. However, when you open the skill tree, it actually pauses the game in single player. And in fact, I've heard that in multiplayer, if everyone opens the skill tree, like you talk together and be like, okay, let's pause. If everyone presses escape or their skill tree, the game actually pauses. I don't know if that's actually the case, but
you get a single fireball that explodes. Throw multiple projectiles on there, and obviously it does what you might expect.
So even if the gem panel doesn't pause the game, you can actually open the skill tree, which pauses the game, and then you can open the gem panel, which goes on top of it, and you can actually swap your support gems around while the game is paused.
You get multiple fireballs.
So if you're in a boss fight and you're like, oh, I have some clear link here that I want to fix,
one of the things that's important is that you can actually move these support gems around between skills. For example, we took the multiple projectiles, and instead we put it on I don't know, this ice. I think you've got an ice skill somewhere. Frostbolt, then you'd be able to make that into multiple projectiles instead. So effectively, this is the way another area of character progression that you can use in order to improve your characters in PoE. So I think there was another one as well. Actually, Firewall. Let's try Firewall. So Firewall is a skill that allows you to create a wall of fire. If you fire projectiles through that, it's going to add fire to the lightning projectiles that we've.
So this works with every projectile in the game. So I actually put frost wall or a firewall on my mercenary, and I was shooting my assault rifle and my shotgun through it, and it was like empowering the projectiles with the fire.
So that is quite a nice little combo there as well. But if we want, there's another skill, a support gem I think is quite interesting.
So this combos really well in like probably a group.
Skill that creates a wall.
You have multiple projectile builds.
When you cast it, it's going to make a circle, which you can either put around you or around the monster.
Definitely wants to run this.
So that means you can cast that and then fire in all directions afterwards. So it can add a little bit of power. It might be a little bit easier in this area as well when you've got tight quarters.
Yep. Firewall support. I mean, it's just one gem out of, you know, all your buttons. Like,
All right.
maybe I should
Now the next thing we're going to show is the warrior.
put this here.
So the warrior is
Sure.
our kind of big tanky melee class. Unlike the monk, he's a lot slower, but he hits a lot harder. He's just going to change to WASD, which works a bit better on this class. Right, so here's the warrior. Now at the moment he's using a two-hand weapon, so he's going to be hitting very slow, but very hard.
Apparently, in the Q&A they said that Octavian is like a click-to-move player always. Like he prefers click-to-move over WASD. But for this presentation, he like, to show it off, he played both WASD and click-to-move on different
But there's also
classes,
something
right?
else you can do as well in
Which is
PoE2,
funny.
which we didn't have in PoE1, which is that if you switch to a shield and a one-hand item, then you've also got active block.
When you start, we're just 8 minutes
This
in,
is something that
or
actually comes in
5
handy. It's
minutes
not
in.
so useful for just regular trash monsters unless they've got
hype
some
is
special
real.
ability, but it can be quite nice against bosses. So let's
That's
have a quick look at
Bajira.
that.
Wait,
So this is the monsters unless they've got some special
Wait.
ability, but it can be
I think that's me or that. Or yeah, I'm somewhere in the front, from the right side. Maybe I'm like here somewhere.
quite nice against bosses. So let's have a quick look at that.
I wonder if
So this is a big boss
I'll be
here. And the
visible
thing with
at any
bosses,
point
they have
on
large
this.
telegraphed attacks. So if you use active block here, you can use that to avoid all damage from the front.
I'm
which
not
is quite
playing.
nice.
We're watching a
Now, there are
presentation.
attacks that have a little red flash that you can't block, but for the most part you can.
So there was actually not that many streamers. There was Havoc, Subtractum, me, and a few Diablo guys. But they're it was mostly journalists and mostly like media people. Bajira also, DM Diablo was there. There was a few more, but not any of the big like PoE boys that like you would know. Yeah.
I need more time.
Oh yeah, link in chat. Link knows. Warrior, they made the warrior very like slam smash. You know, the characters like play really different. Like the mercenary, like the crossbow gameplay is really different from like the melee smashing gameplay of the warrior or the caster of the sorcerer. You know how in PoE1 you can just like put on a spell and cast it on all characters and it kind of feels the same? PoE2 is not like that. Yeah, it's very, very hollow smash. Ramble cast.
I need more time.
They actually duoed some with Subtractum. I have some footage of that.
Now, one of the key areas that we haven't talked about yet in Path of Exile in terms of character customization is, of course, the passive tree. So Path of Exile is really well known for having a giant passive tree. There's 1,500 nodes in the passive tree, and all the classes use the
Big
same
tree.
tree. However, they start in different locations.
Hang on.
So the warrior tree, and all the classes use the same tree. However, they start in different locations.
He
the
mouse
warrior, for
over some
example-
node. Should we try to get that node? It's a starting node. It's
starts on
fine.
the
It's
bottom
fine.
left
People will
side here,
screenshot this.
And because of
I'm
the
sure.
fact he starts there, he
Enhance.
gets access to a lot more of the...
Wait, I have one from here. This. Hovered by accident. Here. Link skills have 8% increased cast speed. Guys, link skills confirmed. Link skills exist in PoE2. Okay, it's on the tree at least. In this build. Oh my god. Oh no, not the links.
the melee focused elements on the tree. Now, to quickly explain how the passive tree works, there are a few different types of nodes here. The smallest nodes are just like minor nodes, and they'll
Yeah,
give very
we
simple
understand
increases,
the
like, for example, you've
skill
just got
tree, of
melee
course,
damage here and that
from
kind of thing.
PoE1.
But the thing you're probably going to want to go for are called notables. Notables are the very slightly larger nodes, and they have much more interesting effects. They're often going to depend a little bit on what kind of build you're doing. For example, this one here is 20%
More
more
damage.
against heavy stunned enemies
More.
with maces. This is something you're obviously only going to care about if you're heavy
Guys.
stunning enemies a lot. And of
More.
course, you're using maces. So a lot these notables are the things that are really going to define your character, and the list of notables is really when it comes to making build guides and things. Is this is what really matters.
There is
and
no
PoE2
master
have
race
really
as
tried
of
to
now.
push the fact that notables are a lot more interesting. So there's a lot more stuff going on with them. But as well as notables,
sure they can add
there's
them in
also
the future if they want.
other big nodes on the tree called keystones. And keystones are unique because they have both upsides and downsides. So an example of one right here is called Giant's Blood. It says you can wield 2-hand axes, maces, and swords in one
Dude,
hand.
can you just imagine for a second? I know this is an incredibly privileged streamer position, but like, can you imagine me sitting there watching this and knowing that I can't talk about any of this to anyone for 2 weeks? I'm like, everyone is like, oh, PoE2 is going to be so slow. It's not going to have any end game. It's only going to be campaign. And I'm like sitting there like, bro, just wait. They're adding a fucking
But you get double attribute requirements
like
of weapons.
infinitely
So
expanding
if you want to use a giant
Atlas
two-hand
map
sword, but you still
and
want to use a
these
shield,
nodes
you've
in
got a
the
way to do
tree
that.
and
You just have to meet the
holy
attribute
shit.
requirements to do it.
It was so
which
hard,
could be
but of
tricky
course
for
it's a
in-game
very
bases.
very
There's
streamer
also other
problem.
keystones. A few examples from other classes. There's one here that is from
CI
PoE1.
still exists.
Maximum life becomes
Yeah.
1, but you're immune to chaos damage. Since chaos damage does double damage to energy shield, this is something that you might want to use. Once you've got that, you don't have to worry about chaos damage anymore. You just need to build for energy shield and not life. Or another example of one that's been modified from PoE1 is Mind Over Matter.
Mind over matter.
All
This
dam-
seems insane. All damage. In PoE1, this is like 30% of the damage is taken from mana before life. You can have all of your incoming damages taken from mana before life. Like, I don't know, there's hundreds of uniques in the game. I'm sure you can make some crazy mana stacking, mana regen build where this 50% less is very much overcomable problem, right?
Damage is taken from mana
this
before
seems
life,
insane.
but you have 50% less mana.
I'd be
recovery
surprised
rate.
if this like
If you're gonna build
survives
for
the
this, it means you
entire
don't have to
early
worry about
access
life
like
once
this.
again,
I don't know.
but you will have to build a huge amount of mana pool in order to sustain that. So these are the kind of things that you can pick from
think
keystones
there is
that
Eldritch
have upsides
Veterinary.
and downsides and interesting trade-offs.
But I don't
Now, there is
have
one
a
other
picture.
mechanic as well that I want to quickly talk about. So if you go back to the character and just have a look, Octavian was manually switching between. If you go back to the character,
the
and see, so
double-
Octavian was manually switching between one-handed and two-handed weapon sets. He was just
Double
pushing X
weapon.
to do that. When he's using
So you get one passive per level, and then there's a bunch of side bosses that award you with passive points. So every boss you kill in the campaign gives you some sort of power. It might be a passive point, it might be blocking your progression to go, and a skill point. It might be a plus 20 life, it might be plus 30 spirit for your minions or
But it says
auras
there
or
are,
whatever.
things on the passive tree that you might want to be able to use.
Every boss is
for one or the
character
other.
power.
So another
You should
unique
kill
feature
every
of
boss.
PoE2 on the passive tree is the ability to split passives in two in order to allocate one for one set and another set for the other. So if we allocate ones in red here, these passives will only
double.
be used when you've got a two-hand weapon. And if you allocate passives in green using the other one here, these passives will only be allocated when you're holding the other weapon set, when he's using his one-hand
Crazy,
weapon.
bro.
So effectively, if he presses the weapon swap button now, it'll switch from one set to the other. So that means that he can effectively dynamically adjust his passives based on what weapon sets he wants to
Dynamic
use.
double passive.
But the other thing as well is, in order to make it a lot easier for you to be able to use different passives in your different passives and different weapons for different skills, we also have the ability to pick for a given skill which weapon set you want to use it with.
Maybe
So,
I
for
should
example, the Stampede skill here, if you've got a shield, then when you use the skill, it will.
So
Deal with
everything
it is my
that's
answer on that one.
everything that's underlined, you can just click and learn what it is in the game. Like if you don't know what stun is, you don't know what rarity is, you can everything that has a dotted line under is explained in the game.
Be blocking the entire time if you just demonstrate that quickly.
3,000
So if you use a
DPS.
Stampede, because you hold your shield in front of you, you're blocking the entire time you're charging. And using the one-hand weapon will also be a lot faster because it's got higher attack speed. So that's something we'd much rather use with our one-hand weapon. But when, for example, we're doing our Earthquake or our Double Slam, this is something that we probably only want to use with our two-hand weapon because we want to do the most damage.
Does nearby
so that
have
means
a
we can
dotted
turn it
line?
off with the other
I
weapon
don't.
set. And now when you use your two-hand, when you use that, it'll switch to your two-hand weapon automatically. So effectively, this allows you to have multiple weapon sets and do a lot of different things. It's also very good for, for example, on the Sorceress earlier, she was using lightning and fire. She can have two different staffs, one that's geared for one that's geared for the other, as well as spec her passive tree out as well. So that's another character development feature that we have.
Does
in,
more have
PoE2.
that? I don't think
Next
so.
up, we want to talk about the Ranger. So the Ranger is our primary bow cast, bow user, and she's all
Alright,
about range
Ranger
and
time.
mobility. So one of the first things we did when we were developing the Ranger is we wanted to make sure that everything you do can be done while moving. So this just makes the game feel a lot more
This feels
fluid.
really
So
nice. I played the Mercenary, and moving feels really nice while shooting. You do get really slow when you're moving, but
it's a lot
of
more
course,
mobile even from that.
you can still get
but she
out of
also has a
some
lot of
projectiles that are like fired from like kind of half screen or more away. If you're like sidestepping, you can still avoid projectiles and keep shooting while
So
moving.
skills allow her to jump up. For example, there's one there that like freezes monsters. She jumps up and she can jump over monsters and freeze them. So this kind of thing allows you to.
I can't tell if you can
feel a lot
trust
more
DPS
mobile in
numbers.
combat.
It's
Make
too
sure you
early.
get away from the monsters, which you need to do, since you know she isn't necessarily the most tanky character. Now, one of the things you might have noticed if you're a PoE1 player is the bottom left of the screen there, there's only 2 flasks, just a life and a mana flask.
Yep.
We've actually changed how the flask system works in PoE2 very recently. Now you get 1 life and 1 mana flask, and that's all. And the reason we actually did that is we found that there was a problem in PoE1 called flask piano, where everyone was just sitting there pressing 1, 2, 3, 5 constantly, flasking. The thing is, so we've actually buffed flasks significantly, so that each flask has a lot more charges, but you only get 1 of each type. Now, one of the main things that people were doing in PoE1 when they were using flasks is they were using the other flask slots for mostly things that were making them resistant to various element types and so on.
Yep.
And so we wanted to have a system to allow that to still be the case and still have interesting character customization there. So we've added a new type of item called charms. Charms charge up using flask charges, so as you kill monsters.
So these are basically utility flasks that are already automated and built in. And the more
but they automatically trigger
slots your belt have, the
immunity to
more you can
certain
use.
things
You can
at
have
the
up
point
to
when you
3.
get those things. So for example here, this is used when you become ignited and then grants immunity to ignite. So if you're having trouble with fire damage, then you can throw that on there. If you get ignited, it'll
Probably
automatically
no mage blood.
quench you. And then it will charge up again from killing monsters. Now there are lots of
Or-
different charms that have different...
Or there is mage blood and it buffs charms. You never know. You never know what they cook,
different
man.
abilities. They trigger on different things. They get you. They make you resistant to different things. And they can also
Yeah,
get
maybe
mods,
permanent charms with
from
increased
crafting and
effect,
so on,
or
so you
who
can,
knows,
make
like-
them an interesting part of your build. But the point is, they're always automatic. You don't have to manually trigger them. So it kind of solves that problem of having to manually use flasks constantly. You get the ability to use more charms by getting higher level belts. This is relatively lower level, so you've only got 1 charm slot there. As you get higher level belts, you get more slots up to 3, and there might even be...
I think I already found a belt with 2 charm slots in Act 2, so you can get them pretty early.
more charms later on as well, of course. Now, one of the other things that we wanted to upgrade as well is that we found, so in PoE2 there's a huge amount of encounters and bosses. There are actually 50 bosses in early access. There's going to be 100 in the final game. So one of the things we've changed is we've upgraded the map to actually allow you to see all of those on the map. So if you zoom in a little bit there, you can see that there's a bunch of bosses and random
All of those skulls are like a boss
encounters around
that
the area.
will give you character
near to
power.
where Octavian is right now, you can see that there's a boss called Silver Black Fist. And that means that in this area there's something to find, a boss to encounter. So
Yes, Chaos Orbs still exist,
the bosses often have things that you can use to.
but they do something else now. I think they reroll 1 mod on an item. They basically function as a remove add harvest craft. It annuls a mod and it adds another mod. I think that's the current iteration of the Chaos Orb.
increase your character power as well. So it's important to kill them.
Silverback Black Fist. Rasmus. Goril sound. It's really hard to talk about how long it takes to do the campaign because there is so many different ways you can play it. You can rush through it and not kill a lot of side bosses, but then you're missing out on character power. You can be a complete newcomer to ARPGs or even gaming. You can be a hardcore PoE1 racer. My guess is that the 25-hour is for someone kind of new to the genre. That's gonna do most of the content on the way. I don't think it's gonna take TIE Killer 25 hours, but it might take longer than 25 hours for
So as you can see,
for
he dropped a
the
Book of Specialization.
absolute
and this is one of
newcomers,
the items
so.
that allows you to do the split passive points in the passive tree, but it also gives you more passive points as well.
Extra
so it's something
passive.
that you're going to definitely want to find. Now, there are other bosses around the game that have different bonuses and so on, so it's definitely a good idea to explore all the encounters throughout the game
already
and
in
find all of
Waystones.
those things. So next, we're going to talk about the Witch. And while we're showing...
Wonder if we're going to be able to tell what bosses we have already killed on the Atlas. So the Atlas
the Witch, it's also a good time to talk about one of the
has
other character progression systems in
maps.
Path of XL2.
and not all maps have bosses. Based on the reveal stream, they said that 1 in 4 maps have bosses. I don't think you can get the character power from the campaign by skipping them in the campaign and then later killing them on the Atlas, but they haven't talked about this. This might be the case, we don't know.
So the Witch is a primary summoner, but she also has a range of other supporting skills. But the thing we want to show you first is just the fact that she...
Keep in mind that the 25 hours was for a new player for the 3 acts. And you have to do the 3 acts twice right now to get to endgame.
and in fact, all the classes use a resource called Spirit. So there's a new...
I think an experienced player or an experienced group maybe can get to endgame at the end of day 1, but that day 1 is going to be a long day 1. I think there's going to be a 16 hour day 1.
New type of
That's
skill
my
gem,
current
an
guess,
Uncut Spirit
and
Gem, which you can
I have
use
no
here.
idea
and
if that's
that'll
true.
give you a bunch of these, another skill screen with a bunch more abilities. What these ones are is for giving you things that are kind of somewhere halfway between a passive bonus and an active one. This one here called Grim Feast feeds on corpses to bolster your energy shield.
Look at how many terms there is here. Energy shield, minions, presence, overflow.
Okay,
that's not that many,
lots of
actually. It
these
was
for
just
all
a couple of
classes.
energy
All
shields.
classes can use them. For example, on Sorceress, here you've got Arctic Armor. There's
Also, there is no way to death run bosses, okay? I see this term, and in old footage, in the previous LA events, for example, in Tai's footage, he kept TPing out of the boss to refill his flask and then going back. If you go into a boss area, that's it. Either you die or the boss dies. Those are the 2 options. There is nothing in between. You cannot reset, refill your flasks. That's it. You die or the boss dies. Those are the 2 outcomes when you enter a boss area. So
here called Raging Spirits, which means that every time you use a fire skill, it summons a Raging Spirit. So you can, like as I said, it's somewhere between...
If you die, you can go again. If you're softcore, of course, you res outside, then you can go straight back in. But if you want to be efficient, I think you want to over-farm a little bit because you have no idea what the bosses do and you're going to get hit by stuff for the first time. So when you are farming a zone, you are gaining character power, right? You are finding loot, upgrading your gear, you're getting XP, so you're getting skill points when you level up. If you're fighting a boss for 5 minutes and then you die at 20% boss HP, you just wasted 5 minutes that you could have spent farming and you have to try the boss again from full HP, right? So it is probably recommended for you to be like 1 level over or like, you know, to farm a little bit so that you can kill the bosses on your first try or maybe second try.
They're going to want to get a lot of spirit because all minions are paid for with the same resource. So what we're going to do here is in order to
there's no use rushing,
spirit, effectively what you do is you go to the skill screen, and if you've got minions there, you can just click the little plus button, get some extra minions, and there you go. Now, these are permanent minions, which means that if they die,
I don't have
respawn
info
again
on that.
automatically. You don't have to spawn them constantly. And that means that it's
Right,
during
summoner
boss fights and
gameplay
things like
time.
that, it makes it a lot easier. You don't have to worry about having to have corpses.
So Spirit is a resource that's around the mana bar, and you use it to reserve minions. So if you have a Spirit, like let's say you have 30 Spirit to reserve for a skeleton, then that skeleton will be alive all the time, and if it dies, it will resummon,
large
like
minion
automatically.
armies, and because of that, we also have minion skills that you can summon from corpses as well. So all these little scorpions here, those are summoned from corpses.
So as far as we've seen, we haven't seen any auras. There's a lot of buffs like Arctic Armor and Links, apparently, like later, but we have not seen auras yet.
While you're clearing, you'll get
for
during
multiple
boss fights,
years
you'll be a
now.
little bit more focused using the minions, your permanent minions for the most part. Now he's also got some other supporting skills, a lot of things focusing on chaos damage. So he's got a skill called Contagion that'll spread between monsters.
Maybe it's going to be for other classes that are not out yet.
A few other chaos damaging skills. Now the other thing with minions is that all the permanent minions come with extra abilities that you can trigger manually. So you see those little markers on your minions.
Yeah,
you can
heralds
use
are
those
a
to
thing.
explode your minions. So that's the arsonists. It's their ability. They'll throw a little bomb and explode your minion. There's also other ones. For example, the snipers have the ability to create little gas clouds. And the more minions you have, the more often you can use those abilities. So effectively, it means that each minion also effectively serves as an extra skill as well as being a meat shield for you as well.
Clarity is not an aura anymore. Yeah, it's a support
That's
gem.
a quick introduction to the witch. But now we're going to show off the mercenary.
Mercenary time.
Oh, actually, wait, no, we did miss something. Sorry about that.
Hang on.
Right,
Never
so
mind.
just one other quick thing I wanted to show you as well is that the witch has a lot of other summoning options. Even
So the NDA, or it wasn't NDA, it was an embargo, and the embargo lifted 2 hours after the live stream. So the official embargo lifted 2 hours after the start of the PoE2 official live stream on the Path of Exile site. And I guess this video was uploaded right after that. It's been up for 2 days.
beyond just the ones that were picked, because she also has things called specters.
Oh, the closed beta
Basically,
people?
anytime
I don't
you
think
follow-
that ever is lifting. Or maybe when early access starts. I'm not in the closed beta. I have not played endgame. I have not... Yeah.
Monster on the ground that
I'm
can
not
be
in
turned
that.
into a specter. We've actually created one here from Act 1 called a Cultist Archer. They cost quite a
See,
bit of
there's the
spirit, so we're going to
spirit.
unsummon a couple of the arsonists and put these this Cultist Archer
70
in.
spirit for that one.
Now the nice thing
Holy
is
shit.
that because lots of monsters in Path of Exile have different interesting abilities,
It'll
all
never
those
lift,
abilities
okay.
can be used by the summoner as well. So this one has the ability to summon these like purple polyp things that both slow monsters and add weakness to chaos damage as well. She's using it there with those little things that exploded there. Because those are going to make monsters weaker to chaos damage, it'll be a very good part of this build. It's not as many minions, but the nice thing is,
Oh my
that
God, there's
it'll
so
actually
many
end up being more
mobs there
DPS, and I
in
think
that
for
room.
bosses it probably is better for this build than not. That's what these little polyp things are. All right, so moving on. Let's have a quick look at the Mercenary.
Oh, here we go.
So the Mercenary is
crossbow.
another ranged character, but this time using crossbows. Now the main difference between a crossbow and a bow is that crossbows fire instantly, and they also have an ammo mechanic where effectively, you fire until your clip is empty and then you have to reload. So it plays a lot more like an FPS. And we've got lots of FPS type weapons as well. I just changed it to WASD here because this character plays a lot better in that
The
way.
single
So if
best
you've
thing
got,
is that you don't have to sustain maps anymore. You just go in and play. Actually, you do. You need a waystone to go into a map. In fact, there's points on the tree that increase the number of waystones that drop.
a shotgun type weapon.
Maps are definitely going to be a commodity.
You've got a assault rifle
or
type weapon.
waystones. We'll get there.
Monsters.
There is endgame part in this. So
And various other types.
They're
You've also
just
got
going
tactical
over
grenade
some
launchers and things like sniper rifle type weapons and so on. Now, this plays very differently to the other classes, but I think it's really fun. It's just like a whole different sort of feeling of the game. This particular area is called Doyani's Sanctum.
oh,
He's,
this is
doing a
crazy.
lot of
Okay. Look at that cadaver on the wall.
experiments on humans, and is very interested in anatomy and kind of merging them with machines. There's a pretty interesting chest on the wall there that I quite like. If you click on that one, just so there's a cadaver on the wall, and it like slices up and drops some items. So that's kind of fun. We actually originally just had half a person there, but it really just looked like an anatomy diagram. So we needed to do something to show the fact that there's actually a model
Jesus
human
Christ.
there. So that was fun.
Bro, jeweler orb. Pick it up.
So yeah. So one
Pretty
of the other
dark
things we haven't even
stuff.
talked about,
Kind
which is
of
another
fun.
really important character development system in Path of Exile, is of course items.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
now,
here we
items in
go.
Path of Exile work like many other action RPGs, but I think that we do a particularly good job of having interesting affixes and suffixes. If you have a look
Items.
at the items on the
Look,
character,
there is the Chaos Orb. Its Chaos Orb exists.
you know,
See? Transmute, Og, Regal, Exalt, Chaos. And then that's, I think that's gem stuff.
so like they generate. We have normal magic, rare, and
We have
uniques.
not seen Divine.
Magic items can have up to 2 mods. Rare items can have up to 6. And effectively,
No Scour. There is no Scour and there is no alts. In the current iteration, as far as we know, you cannot scour an item back to white and you cannot keep alt spamming. Okay? So bases are going to be a lot more important.
each of the different slots has a pool of mods that's unique to it.
90 life.
But one of the other things that's sort of really important about PoE is crafting items. So here we have different.
Oh yeah,
crafting
this is
items
Annul and Alchemy.
that allow
Yeah.
you to add affixes to items. If you use an Orb of Transmutation, it'll turn this magic item to a 1-mod magic.
Yeah.
If you use an Orb of Augmentation, it'll add an extra mod to make it into a 2-mod magic.
Makes sense.
You've also got Regal Orbs that will turn it into a 3-mod rare, which is normally
hybrid.
normally that I have 4, but if you do it this way, you get 3. And then you can use Exalted Orbs to add more mods than that to make up to 6 mods.
That is a terrible item.
Now,
oh my god, that is so bad.
In Path of Exile 2 that's very different than PoE 1 is that
That's
these
a go
currency
again.
items to add mods to items are much, much more common than they were before.
ROG is in the game. Expedition is one of the endgame mechanics, and rock crafting is a thing. You can rock craft.
And you're really going to be expected to use them throughout the campaign. It's like a really important element of player power.
I mean, this is what you would expect in PoE 1 if you did these things, right? Like, this is what you make. It's
We've
a
actually
terrible
changed the way the
item.
scaling works in quite a lot of elements to kind of try and make it so that picking up
Log is
like
Pog.
new blue items is going to actually be an interesting choice for you. Using Regals and Exalts in them are pretty interesting. And also you get Regals by selling, by disenchanting rares as well. So effectively you can get quite a lot of Regals in order to upgrade items to rares relatively easily. So now these crafting items, the other thing that's important
We're
about them is you
24
can use them on
minutes.
any base type, not just items.
Oh, there
Like
what
the genre of ARPG is starting to mean a lot of different things. Much like Souls-like and roguelike, I wonder if we could normalize Diablo-like for ARPGs that follow the Diablo formula. XDD. Much like Souls-like and roguelike, I wonder if we could normalize Diablo-like for ARPGs that follow the Diablo formula. XDD.
No, I don't think so.
You can equip. They're used throughout the game for many different purposes, for the end game as well. And many
Wait, he mouse over the annul and
items you can
the...
equip. Items. The other thing that's important about them is you can use them on any base type, not
Right.
just
Oh, yeah, alchemy and annul. Okay, so alchemy is always gonna be 4 mod. If you alch an item, it's always gonna be a 4 mod.
items you can equip. They're used throughout the game for many different purposes. For
Interesting.
the end game as
He also mouse over the chaos.
not just items you can equip. They're used throughout the game. About them,
It
so you
was
can use them on any base type.
Here, there.
Not just. So
Ah,
now these craft.
removes a random modifier and augments a rare with a new random modifier. Yeah, so it's a remove ad.
They're used throughout the game for many different purposes, for the end game as well, and many other things. So you can use them on flasks and charms. There's all sorts of
DOS
places where you can
and-
use them.
okay,
So
thank you.
it's definitely something that you're going to want to master and play around with.
Master.
Now the other items, of course, that we have is lots and lots of unique items. There are hundreds of them in PoE2. There'll be hundreds and hundreds more. as we go
Hundreds
along.
already.
And some of them are pretty interesting. They all do things. They aren't just upgraded rares. They
crazy.
all do something kind of interesting. So for example, here we have a boots called Corpse Wade. If you put that on there and then you walk through a corpse,
Yeah,
it'll
it
make
gives
them
you an ability.
explode and turn into little puffs of green chaos damage there. That's not something you're going to get on a rare item. Another one here is called Sands of Silk. If you put this one on, what it's going to do is change your dodge roll into a teleport, into a blip that can blink through monsters. Once again, not something you get on a rare. But there's a few others here that are kind of interesting. Next one here is called Couture of Crimson.
Life leech can overflow maximum life.
It
Okay.
makes Life Leech overflow maximum life. So as you
Overleech.
attack monsters, you can get like over health above your normal maximum if you're using Life Leech.
Nice.
Another one here, for example,
But
pretty simple
25% reduced life. Yeah.
in some ways is
Quill rain.
This thing here just
93%
has
attack
ridiculous attack
speed.
speed. If you but low
Or
damage.
arrow
If you want to
speed.
make an interesting bow build where you're just making where you want to hit huge amounts of times,
Okay, so there's arrow speed stat in the game. I wonder if there's proj speed that works, because maybe they wanted to, because crossbow stuff is already pretty fast, right? Like crossbow projectiles are already pretty fast. It's like almost like a gun. So proj speed doesn't really make sense there. But
don't
arrow
necessarily
speed,
care about
because
the
arrows are
damage dealt.
slower.
Quill Rain is going to be something for you. Or another one here called the Wailing Wall. This one here disables shield skills, but makes you able to block damage from all hits without having to raise your shield.
Cannot use shield skills.
So effectively, if you want to be able to block a lot of damage, but
Proj speed would have had grenades though.
you don't care
Yeah,
about being
because
able to use
grenades
other
are
shield
pretty
skills,
slow.
this could be a good one.
I wonder if there's a way to speed up grenades blowing up, because like my thing was that the grenades are really slow to blow up. Like you fire the grenade and then you wait like 2 seconds for it to
All
blow
of
up.
these are what
It
we
was
call
really
build
slow.
enabling. They're interesting
they
things
do a
that
lot
you
of
might be able
damage.
to build a character around. Do something
If less
interesting with.
duration works on them,
and they're a big part
that
of
would be good.
how the in-game, things that you can find at in-game,
Or like force
things that you're
explode
going to
them,
be
yeah.
sort of going throughout the game, things that might affect how your character is played.
So,
Spoilers, guys. Spoilers. If you don't want campaign spoilers, leave now and come back in a few minutes. Okay. This is Doriani.
on the eve of the end, The demon of Atzoatl has finally come for me!
How did the WASD movement feel? Good. Felt really good. For a ranged character that can like fire while moving, it felt really good. It's Damian blasting Doriani.
Pathetic.
Doriani. He's slowly building a massive robot, basically. Absolute cinema.
The end.
So you can see damage numbers up here, right? But they go away. So this is, you can kind of see how much damage you do with like some shots. And as long as you keep doing damage, this number will go up. But then if you don't do damage for a few seconds, it goes away. See, he did 11k, but now it's faded away. And now it's a new round of numbers are gonna start showing up. So.
Not now. The cataclysm must be
Oh, here we go. Okay, listen to this.
So you would take our devices and doom us? I think not.
The sound design of this boss fight is amazing.
Listen, I'm just here for the lady. There's no need for all this.
46k, just broke his armor.
I've got you now.
I don't know if this is the last boss of Act 3. All I know is that it's in Act 3. It's an Act 3 boss. Oh, he's stunned. Get him. Look what's happening. Okay, no, it's not happening yet. It's gonna happen later. So he's sitting on the top of this robot right now.
Activate the beam.
I don't know how to dodge this one. But it doesn't do that much damage.
I've got you now.
And now he floated off the top of the robot. Look, he's like here now. The boss is here and you're still fighting the robot. And he's like floating around and like remotely controlling the robot. And then disassembles it and tries to slam it into you. What the fuck, bro? They cooked with this boss. He's like flying around there. Okay, stun the robot. Nice. Act boss has more mechanics than current Evers. Yep. Okay, he almost died. Oh, he's getting disassembled again. You like can't get cornered by this. You have like no place to go. Because slam hits here.
Need a sec.
Nice shot. He's got him. It's Octavian playing, yeah. Then he crashes.
All right. So
Okay, what dropped? One rare, one whetstone,
far
one
we've been showing
blue,
you footage from the
and some
campaign.
gold.
One of the really important things in any action RPG is the end game.
Here we go.
Now, something that happens almost every time a new action RPG launches is people saying there isn't enough end-game content. We really want to make sure that in PoE2 people don't feel that way. And it's something that we actually changed our priorities for as a studio relatively recently.
Are there a lot of one-shots in the present game? We don't know. I mean, if you're not tanky, yes, you will get one-shotted. But everything is super well telegraphed, so you know why you were gonna get one-shotted.
Now, the first three acts of
in the
PoE2
big
take
slam.
around 25 hours to complete. This is already longer than many campaigns in other games. On the other
Oliver.
hand, people spend hundreds of hours in in-game. We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access instead of working on in-game would actually be a very bad idea. So instead of having Acts 4 to 6 in early access, it's much better for us to concentrate on endgame and make that great. If you're a new player, a 25-hour campaign is already a huge game with plenty of content, but if you're an existing action RPG player, then what you're going to care about is the endgame challenges that you have to complete.
Yep.
If we'd launched with a double-length campaign and a bad endgame, we'd effectively have to say, hey, trust us, a good endgame is coming later. But if we launch with a 25-hour campaign and a great endgame, then people can easily understand what's coming when we say, oh, yeah, and there's 3 more acts coming really soon. Now, in early access, there are 50 bosses currently and around 400 monster types, but effectively the game is going to double in size during early access and to be 6 acts with 100 bosses and around 800 monster types.
100 bosses.
Now, the great thing is the rest of the game is like 80% there, and so we'll be adding content very quickly during early access, and so you can expect to see a lot of that coming really quickly. Now, in order to make the endgame happen at the same player level, we've had to add a second difficulty called Cruel difficulty, where you repeat the campaign with all the monsters and bosses harder, but also better rewards. If you sort of look at it in traditional game terms, you can think of it as a kind of like new game plus type thing, but we've actually made quite a lot of changes to the game throughout as well, which you'll probably enjoy as well. And that'll take you to around level 65, which is where the endgame begins. So, let's talk about what the endgame is. So in PoE, there are many different endgame grinds. One of the things that's kind of really important is that people feel like they've got a choice between many different types of activities in the endgame. So for PoE2, at the start of early access, we're going to have 8 primary endgame grinds that you can do, all of which have their own sort of systems for leveling them up, improving them, unique rewards, player power that you can get only from them. And we're going to introduce the first 2 of them right here during the campaign, which are the Ascension Trials. So the Ascension Trials in Path of Exile 2, you do encounter them in the campaign to start with, but then they level up all the way to endgame and they have interesting mechanics. So this first one here is called the Trial of the Sekhemas, and it's actually a sequel to Sanctum League
so
from
this
PoE,
is Sanctum,
from PoE 1.
basically.
So we've actually done quite a lot of sequels to leagues from PoE 1 with new mechanics and new stuff, but all of them have new things going on. So, basically, in order to... the Trial of the Sekhemas is a place where the Maraketh came to be tested and gain power.
Balbala. It's Balbala. Look, it's the guy with the jewel name, the timeless jewel name.
You need a coin containing the soul of a djinn, and then once you put it in the relic altar there, then you can enter and start playing.
We are so back.
Now, the trial is made up of various different rooms, and it works a little bit like a roguelike type encounter system, where effectively you pick each room, and then within each room there's a different challenge. This one is a ritual trial, I think, which has these monster summoners. So they're effectively summoning monsters, and you want to be able to kill those as fast as you can to complete the room.
Sanctum room. So this is one way to ascend your character, but there's another way. It's coming later. It's Ultimatum.
That one was relatively easy. So once you've completed the room,
Easy.
you can go into the next room to get your reward. Now in this case, we have a silver key. Keys can be used at the end of the trial to be.
So on the start of early access, there will be 2 ways to ascend.
But effectively, you have to be able to survive the attack.
Eventually, there will be 3 ways. Yeah. And currently, the running theory is that the 3rd way is going to be Toda, the Trial of the Ancestors from Toda League. But we have no confirmation on that.
Trial to be able to claim
so that is just complete speculation.
Now, this is the map for the trial, and you can effectively pick what type of room you'd like to go to next. There are a few different issues. One of them is that the next room will have a type, so for a type of trial. For example, here's an hourglass trial, and it also has a type of reward, but also some of them have boons or afflictions that might get you. So this one says, for example, when you enter it, that it'll afflict you with blunt sword on entry, which means you and your minions deal 40% less damage. We probably don't want to do that as a minion build, but they have better rewards in exchange for that. So once you've picked your room, you can go and do the next one.
Hourglass.
Now this one's a time trial. You have to survive and kill all the monsters. Now one thing that I didn't mention at the start of this is that unlike in the normal game, if you take hits in this mode, then you're going to lose a resource called honor.
I don't see where this honor is.
Honor, then you have to leave the trial.
Maybe they like turn it off for
so
this presentation.
You want to really
maybe
try
it's
to play
that,
these
but
runs
he has
as
like
quick as
0.
possible. And that means
honor.
that all the monsters we've selected
Or maybe it's
usually have to be avoidable in some way, have dodgeable mechanics. And that's sort of why Octavian is playing
it's probably
as safely as he possibly can here. He doesn't want to get too close to the boss or that monster there. because he
Probably
was going to lose
Ultimatum.
honor.
Yo, unique item. What is that? Wicker Tiara. Is he gonna pick that up?
Oh yes, it is. Okay, no, it's okay. Don't worry.
No, he's leaving it. No.
Right, so once the trial's complete, once again, you can go and get the reward, which in this
Fuck.
case is a bronze key again.
We
because
could have
we've
spoiled
become
another
sacred
unique.
We'll do one more.
Octavian.
So that one's a sacred water fountain.
It's probably a 1C
Chalice
unique.
trial.
He
Yeah,
didn't
sure,
wanna-
let's do
he
it.
didn't
Alright,
wanna
cool.
pick it up.
The next one's called a chalice trial. Effectively, there's a blood chalice
Blood
here,
chalice.
which you need to fill with blood by killing rare monsters in this area. Once you've killed all the rare monsters, you can continue. Now there are a lot of different rooms in the trial.
So, unlike in Sanctum, you don't have to do all 4 floors to ascend. I think you can continue, but the ascension is at the end of the first floor. So you just have to do the 8 rooms, I believe, and then you
They're
ascend.
around 70 in
You get 2 ascendancy
level 1,
points.
and
You
they're
don't have
random
to,
what you get each time. So you should
do
expect
the
each run
full
to feel quite
Sanctum.
different,
Yeah.
and the kind of stuff you can expect to find, you know, the kind of boons and afflictions you get, the monsters that you'll
There
face.
is a
this
boss
kind of
at the
thing.
end,
All
of
of these are very
course,
different. And there's also
in PoE2
4
fashion.
floors as well. This is just the first floor. Each floor looks different and has different mechanics, rewards, and so on as well. So there's quite a lot of content here.
He did hover a few nodes, and we saw a link node in the
And
train.
once again, like I said, there's got to be ways as well for it to sort of expand into in-game, have more, have ways to expand it and ways to make it most.
I
both
don't know if you can switch ascendances. I don't think they
more,
talked about that.
damaging and more rewarding.
Exo. If I had to guess, you can probably respec ascendancy nodes. I don't know if you can switch to another
Is
ascendancy.
it over rare? There he is.
My current guess is no, but it's complete no guesswork.
Oh, avoid that one.
Death is my power to wield.
All right. So that's this trial complete. And once again, you can get the reward you picked, which I believe was Sacred Water in this case. So Sacred Water is a resource that you can use throughout your run.
He says we forgot to reset ascendancy. I think you can.
Effectively, it's a currency that can be used
Okay,
in
maybe,
a shop
yeah.
that you can find throughout the run as well.
More trees.
Water is obviously a very hard resource in the desert.
Water.
So in the interest of time, what we're going to do now is skip to the last room in this floor of the Sanctum, which is a
He's
boss
taking
room.
some notes.
Formidable. Steel yourself.
Oh, here we go.
Alright, so now we have
Boss
Rattle
time.
Cage.
Rattle cage. I will post my reaction and my comments on this video on YouTube as well once we're, done with this stream. Probably tomorrow, or maybe later today. Maybe that's better. Have you decided what you're playing? No. The increasing number here is the damage that he's done to the boss within the last... Like, as long as you keep doing damage to the boss, it's basically a damage meter. But if you stop doing damage just for like even 2 or 3 seconds, the number goes away and it resets. So it's like a combo damage meter. Yeah. And since he's a medium player, he's constantly doing damage. So I guess this boss has about 40k HP maybe. I mean, all of his minions are like attacking it and stuff, so yeah. I keep linking the video every time someone answers.
Infection.
Bam. Regal shard.
So that's the boss of the end of the first floor of the Sanctum, but there's lots more bosses.
Oh! There's the crowd. And there's
Sanctum.
the PCs ready to play. You're like event 17, event 47. I'm in the front there on the right side.
Find, as I said, there's multiple floors.
Oh, there's DM Diablo. And Havoc is somewhere here. Subtractum is here.
They each have interesting things.
Oh, there's Havoc. There's Subtractum. I'm behind this guy. I'm like in the one row behind them.
Now, at the end of each floor, you'll get the ability to pick from various different chests. The keys that drop give the ability to open these caches here. So you want to pick which one because each of them have different types of rewards in them.
Crazy
Now, the other thing that
Imperium
you get
style
to do here
stuff
is use
as we
the Altar of
described it.
Ascendancy.
Riding
Unfortunately, we forgot to
SAU
reset
tomorrow.
the Ascendancy class.
Oh my god, he's so good at dragging the skill tree without hovering over things. He's actually brilliant at it.
See the list there?
He's always clicking somewhere where there's no node and then dragging it instead of,
when we did the thing before. But effectively, once you've, the first time you use the Altar of Ascendancy, you get to pick between 3 different Ascendancy classes. In early access, there's only going to be 2 available for each class, and we're going to be adding the rest later. And those give you...
So there's 6 classes with 2 Ascendancies each right now that's coming in early access. So 12 Ascendancies. But there's going to be 3 Ascendancies per class, and there's going to be more classes. I think 12 classes in the end. So, a lot. Wait, not 12 classes? Is it 12? I think it's 12 classes, yeah.
Interesting
So
things that are only available to your class.
That's way
because,
too many.
no other class.
Maybe not every class will have 3 Ascendancies,
So
I'm
those
not
things
sure.
on the passive tree.
But,
Now,
yeah,
with
that's
Ascendancy classes in
crazy amount.
PoE2 have really tried to do a lot better in terms of how interesting the things are. For example, this particular class, and because I can't see the name on the screen, I forgot what it's called. Infernalist, right? This particular class, and because I can't see the name on the screen, I forgot what it's called.
Loyal Hellhound. Grand skill. Summon Infernal Hound. 20% of damage from hits is taken from your Hellhound's life before you.
It's called
Okay.
Infernalist.
This was
right?
shown.
It's got some pretty interesting abilities. One of them here is called the Hellhound.
One frame.
So this one gives the ability to summon a
actually show
Hellhound. When you summon it, it has a few abilities. One of them is that it sets everything next to it on fire.
Doggo.
It's a minion, so because we're a minion class, this can be really useful. But also it takes damage for you. Every time you take damage, it gets transferred to the Hellhound. So, he's a really good boy. Another one that's really interesting is that, if we just respec quickly away from that, is turning into a demon called demon form.
Here we go.
So when you use demon form, you turn into a demon. While you're a demon, you
all the minions are gone.
Lose life constantly, but you also have much higher spell damage and much faster cast speed. The longer you survive, the higher those numbers get. So but you're going to continuously take damage. So you're probably, if you're going to use this, you probably want to do a build that involves getting high life regeneration in some manner.
Wait, he hovered over the middle Ascendancy node? Wait, are you?
Called demon form.
Wait, did he?
Is turning in.
Oh, he did.
To
wait.
If we just respec quickly away from that, is.
Oh, I paused. Pyromantic Pact. Do we have this? Was this teased? Yes. Okay.
For example, just to get more points by doing more Ascension trials, and continue to get more player power.
I know this too. Fuck.
Now in PoE2, you actually all of the Ascension trials.
Yes, I'm using
right,
dot.
We haven't finished this one yet.
Comma for frame by frame.
Where was I?
Yes.
All right, that's right. Okay, so let's talk about how this extends into endgame. So effectively, as you go through this trial, you might find items called relics.
Okay, this is meta progression.
These items here, which can be crafted.
Same as PoE1 Sanctum. Relics.
This one says monsters have a 4% chance to drop double sacred water.
Make your odds
get
easier.
16 sacred water at the start of the trial. Now these are ways that you can effectively improve your odds as you go through, but there's some pretty interesting ones as well. Let's have another look at another couple. Bosses deal 4% reduced damage. These ones are very low level and simple, but they can get quite powerful.
Did you record your gameplay? Yes, I did, but in order to release footage from that, it has to go through an approval process. So when I uploaded my 10 things I'm excited about from PoE2, it actually included like a little bit of my footage, and so that has to be approved, which is why the video is privated right now.
You click on the relic altar before you start your run, put a coin in. Then you've got these slots here that you can put the relics in.
But this is
and you can also
on YouTube
unlock more slots
by
doing more,
open world games, so
by doing this more.
It's already approved. But they basically just dumped the entire presentation. Maybe they got down some downtime or whatever.
Relics, but like for example, this one here that says that the boss at the end of the entire
trial
will
hits
drop a specific unique item, but your maximum honor is 1, which means you can take exactly 1 hit. which means that you need to do a hitless run in order to be able to get that unique. So there are lots of other interesting unique relics that do other things. The ability to extend this and get the end game is pretty high. And one of the reasons you're going to want to do that is because, like all of these different in-game mechanics, there's unique player power that only comes from it. So in this particular case, we have jewels. Jewels are coming back in PoE2 as well. You can see an example of one of them here. These are things that you can socket into your passive tree to be able to get more stats.
And they're on the way, so that's nice.
So
you don't have to like get out
maximum
3
energy
points
shield and
from the way to
plus
get a
7% to all elemental
really
resistances. Now, because of the fact that you can roll these yourself and stack them, there's some pretty interesting things you can do with jewels.
Well, you can roll them, but you can't alt spam. So if you find jewel bases, you transmute the org, and then that's your jewel, unless you want to spend annuls on it.
And there's also jewels that have other kind of random and weird effects. Like, for example, this one here says upgrades, says that 25% increased effect.
Nerox, the first, he has like a 1 minute 30 second intro where he's just talking. So
of small
I think he cut out parts when they are editing. Like, for example, on the Sanctum run, they teleported to the boss, which Jonathan mentions here. He explained that he just probably cut the footage of typing in the death commands and stuff.
So this one actually modifies the other skills on the passive tree to improve them. With some interesting things and some interesting overlaps, you can do some pretty cool stuff with those as well. There are, of course, unique jewels and other things going on, and I won't go too much into it, but effectively, this does scale all the way in-game.
They haven't shown a rare jewel yet,
and a lot of interesting things you can do. The next trial we're going to talk about is the Trial of the Chaos God. Now, unlike in PoE1, every time you want to get more ascendancy points, there's a new trial that you have to do to do that. So this is the second trial that you can do, and once again, it's also an in-game mechanic that that can be expanded upon.
Here we go.
So we're going to use the Mercenary for this one. Now, this is the one you're going to encounter in Act 3 for the first time, but as I said, it extends to endgame as well.
Old tomato.
Finishing the Ascension Trial was kind of an ancient rite for the Vaal that conveyed power and respect. Entry requires a token from a strange entity called the Trial Master. And this is actually a sequel to a league from PoE1 called Ultimatum, but it works very differently. So to start with, he's going to offer the trial, make the offering to the trial, and then he can walk in. Now, before you enter each room in the Trial of the Chaos God, you're going to have to pick from one of the downsides that's going to affect you for the entire rest of the trial.
We don't have a PoE planner, we don't have a tree, we don't have a PoE2.
To start with, here's the item that you're going to get if you complete this room. And he's also going to say, pick one of these 3 things that's going to potentially hurt you. In this case, we're going to pick blood globules, which will one of the easier ones. And what that's going to do is mean that these blood balls are going to appear above your head and slam down periodically.
Read suffix. Okay, we'll look at the mace.
As you walk into the room, he's going to summon a bunch of these monsters. Now, each of the rooms has different mechanics. This one's very simple. You just have to kill all the monsters. That's that blood globule I talked about earlier.
More blood.
Now, the blood globule may not seem very threatening right now, but as you go through each room, you're going to add more and more mechanics that are going to hurt you, and so it can get quite intense by the time you've gotten to the end.
Legal Orb. So there is ground loot in Ultimatum and Sanctum. Everything drops loot, even the mechanics that
So defeated all the monsters in this room, and we can move on to the next one.
In PoE1 don't drop loot or don't drop a lot of loot. So there is like ground loot everywhere.
So as we move to the next room, once again, the Trial Master is going to give us a choice. Basically, sort of double or nothing. Do you want to take another reward and make the game harder again, or do you want to take the rewards you've already received so far and
Cursed enemy causes enemies to explode on crit for 10% of their life. So explode implicit on this mace. I don't know if that's a corrupted one. And then base crit here on the mace. On crit kill. Sorry, yeah, it's not just on kill. And then it has flat chaos damage. I think that's a Vaal outcome. Yeah, this is the corruption outcome. And this is a level 38 mace.
Beautiful.
Stun build up is a really good
Hello, Mr. Strimer.
Is a really good stat. Like stun, you know, in PoE1, stun is like, okay, it's a dead stat. In PoE2, stunning is really important, especially in the campaign when you want to like stun the bosses. Because when you're fighting a boss, especially for the first time, you don't know when to do damage. You're constantly like rolling away from attacks and AoEs and stuff.
In this case,
when the boss is stunned, it's literally just a target dummy, and you get to do like full DPS. So stun build is a really good
stat. Want to pick another reward and keep going. So there's the existing one, Blood Globules, and that'll keep stacking up. But we're also going to add Shocking Turrets here, which are going to add turrets through the room, which
no, you cannot perma stun. As I mean, there might be some crazy group build where you all build stun or whatever, but when the boss is stunned, right after the stun meter builds really, really slowly for a while. So I think there is some sort of diminishing returns.
Now this one is a trial that requires it's a timed encounter type trial.
Okay, it's a survive 1 minute, but now we have
As
shocking
you can see, there's those lightning turrets there now, which you also have to deal with,
and
it's going to spawn a lot of
globule.
monsters that you have to survive. You don't have to actually kill all of them. If the time runs out, then they're all going to go away. So yeah, you can. You just have to survive.
You can just run around there. Yeah, I don't know if the CCs share the same type of DR. So like, let's say you stun the boss and then you freeze the boss and then you.
I don't know, there's some other risk-taking, so all these kind of risk versus reward mechanics very much work for them.
There is Immobilize,
the way
I think.
Crafted and a bunch of other things like that all sort of relate to this kind of risk-taking behavior.
Yeah, stun and... Okay, so stun and freeze are different for sure. And then there's also Immobilize, and there's Armor Break, which is just a debuff. And then there's Shock, of course, for more damage. Uh-oh, he's stuck. Uh-oh. Motion through it. Dude, he almost died. Holy... Yeah. Get out! Okay, holy shit.
Managed to flask through it, so it's okay.
This will happen. This will happen in every campaign zone. You're gonna get surrounded by 5 white mobs in the corner. You have to kill them. You can't roll through things. You don't have phasing. This is gonna be a giant adjustment.
So as
for
you get
people
towards the
coming
end game,
from, like,
there'll be a very significant number of rooms you can do in a row. I mean, you can just keep on making it harder and harder. In this first
pin. It's pin. I'm sorry. It's pin, not immobilize. Yeah.
In this first.
Wait. Let's see that item. It's another corrupted. It's a shield, evasion, life, thorns. Okay, thorns is probably bad.
Version of it.
Chaos stress. I think there is no negative 60 chaos stress here, so it's easier to cap chaos stress than
in this first version of it. You only have 4 rooms to be able to ascend.
Or at least you're not starting from that much of a detriment.
In one go without dying, then you'll lose your entry ticket. So you'll have to get another one to get
the corruption gave it a
the other
probably,
challenge. You'll want to be make sure that you're ready before you do this trial. Now this particular one involves pushing this idol forward. When you're near the idol, it moves forward. When you're as you get further away, it falls down and doesn't move anymore. So ideally, you can get close to it.
We are
now,
49
as you move
minutes
it forward, it's also going to spawn these, trigger these monster elevators with monsters that are going to come down as well.
There was Bajira for a second. This artillery air frost attack seems pretty cool. Kind of want to spam that. Yeah, this is kind of escort. You're escorting this statue to the place. But in the meanwhile, all of the downsides that you put on earlier are like constantly going off. So like you have the shock turrets, you have the blood globules spawning on you. This.
Alright, finally. That one dragged a little bit, but it's okay. We finally got there in the end. Alright. So just like in Sanctum, there are also bosses that you can get as you go through here. The order of them is random, and so they can be very hard or relatively easy depending on when you encounter them and what things that you've picked beforehand. Before the boss, once again, the Trial Master will ask you to pick, do you want to bail now or do you want to pick something else? That looks okay. Right.
Protect them.
So here's one of the bosses you can find in the Trial of the Chaos God.
Chaos will bring you to your
Spokane. Vulture of Chaos. And of course all the downsides are active. That's a lot of shock turrets. I don't know, like this trial is long, and the other trial was also kinda long. But you're constantly fighting monsters that give you XP, drop loot, and you're ascending at the end. And you're making progress on your endgame stuff, right? Like
that tornado is killed
not in the first campaign trial, but like so like I would much rather do this than lab. Because it's like lab is just dragging, there's no loot, there's no XP, okay, you get ascended, of course, you have to do it, you get ascendancy. But you're actually like playing the game here and getting loot and XP and ascending. So like, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. I'd rather do this than lab. Uh-oh, it's dark. Yeah, and then collecting the trials, where you're just gonna get like a drop in the campaign, I guess. Oh my god, he's dying.
Really your downfall.
Nice.
So that's as far as we're going to go in this trial for now, at this low level. And of course, once again, you'd be able to ascend here if this is as far as you can get during the campaign. But there's a lot more stuff you can get. So the Trial Master now is going to give you the rewards that you've earned throughout the trial. And there are a lot of rewards that are unique just to this trial. So let's go through a few of these that we've got here. Now the first thing he's going to offer, one of the things we've got here is an item with a socket in it. Now, we removed gem sockets from PoE2, but we've actually re-added back sockets in a much more traditional way as things that you can put items in to get extra mods. So if you have a look down the left there, you can see a thing called a Soul Core. This is a Soul Core of Thunder. If you put it in a weapon, you get lightning damage. If you put it in a shield, then, an armor, you're going to get 10% lightning resistance.
So this is your quick fix, like, oh, I need like 10 more lightning res. I need to fix my build. You just jam in a socket to one of your gear slots and it's fine.
This is player power.
It's not skill gems. It's traditional, sockets from Diablo 2.
You can't get any other way than sockets, and it's only unlocked through content that you can get through here. Now, if you want to be able to actually add sockets to existing gear as opposed to
can you
using
unsocket?
The sockets
They
that
haven't
are on gear
shown that.
You're going to have to use these things called Vile Orbs. Vile Orbs modify things unpredictably, and they work a little bit differently than they used to in PoE 1. Now, the first thing I want to mention is the fact that these corrupt items, and what that means is that after you've used this, you can't use it on another item again.
You know what this is.
So that's the last thing you want to do in your crafting step. This particular one here rolled with it got an extra mod. It got 14 to 20 chaos damage as an extra mod, as well as getting corrupted. But they can also do other things. So we'll use it on some of our gear here. You can equip it. I think you can leave it equipped. Yeah. So we're going to use it on his bow here. Okay, so that one gave him a socket. Excellent. So now he'll be able to upgrade his bow with a soul core to get an extra mod. So that's really valuable.
Plus
probably
15
picked
spirit.
that one, but that's fine. That's what he had. Then we've also got, let's see in some other results. That one, okay, so that one just modified random mods on the item. So probably not good, not what you wanted. That's a bad outcome. On the other hand here, all right, added another mod, 25% increased armor and evasion. That's a very good roll. So effectively the theme with these things is that you're going to get random results. You don't probably want to use them on the items that you've got equipped because they're likely to potentially damage them or make them worse. But there's player power that you can get from this that you can't get any other way. So it's something that you're definitely going to want to be able to do as you go through the game. Now, of course, because we got to the end here, we can also ascend. For this particular one, we might as well just ascend this character. So there's the Witch Hunter, which you could pick, and might as well just pick a simple node. I mean, there's a basic one that's just Culling Strike. You might as well pick that. We didn't actually plan to show this character class while we're doing here, so just ascending while we're at it. Now, right there, you also see there's an entrance to the trial.
Hovered something. Wait, what did he hover?
Strike. You might as well pick that.
Culling Strike.
We didn't actually plan to show. Might as well just pick a simple node.
Oh, Witchbane. Did we see Witchbane? We know these. Yeah, okay. We know these. It's fine. Damage versus low life enemies.
There's a basic one that's just Culling Strike. You might as well put that. We didn't actually plan to show this character class while we're
okay, they didn't plan to show this.
That's ascending while we're at it. Now, right there, you also see there's an entrance to the Trial Master's Tower. That's like a special endgame thing, which we're not going to show you, but effectively that's the pinnacle boss for this particular endgame grind. But let's talk a little bit about how you're going to expand on this. So if you go back to the start of the area, the keys not only have let you get into the trial, but they also going to have mods on them as well that allow you to do different things. And just
okay, we'll go back
for this
to
particular
the middle
chanter,
top.
Which you could pick.
Oh, I see. No mercy. Deal up to 30%. We know this. Yeah, so this is kind of the opposite of Calling Strike. So your first damage or wait, is this no, that's something else. No, this is something else. This is based on their missing concentration. No, my bad. So there is like an opposite of Calling Strike in the game, where your first hit is gonna take away like 10 to 30% of their HP on like the first hit, but this is not. This is not that.
The keys not only have, and just like the Vaal always have, we want to make
so here is Inscribe Ultimatums. You can
make sure that there's things that
sacrifice
have
10x to get
downsides.
20x.
That they're very double or nothing type culture. So this one here says sacrifice up to 10 exalted orbs to receive double that on trial completion. So effectively, you know, you can go double or nothing on currency as well. But it also has minus 25% to maximum player resistances, which is a pretty nasty downside.
Maximum.
You
not
can roll
just
these
res,
things,
you know?
They have some pretty interesting mods on them. So yeah, it's one of those things you can specialize into in game. Now, of course, there's also uniques only available here, and various other things available here. So yeah, you're going to want to do that. So those are the two trials that extend into endgame that are during the campaign. But now we want to show you how the actual endgame, sort of primary endgame system itself works.
Here we go.
So we're going to have to get a higher level monk to be able to show you that. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the plot of this, but this is where you're going to start in the endgame. And just like in PoE1, we have a thing called the map device that you're going to be using to travel around. But what you actually get when you click on the map device is going to be quite different. Now, the storyline here effectively is that this corruption from the beast has spread across the land, and you're going to need to try and cleanse it. Now, this is actually an infinitely scrolling map that goes in all directions and contains all areas you can go to.
Dude, we're sitting there and everyone's like,
time. So you're going to want to, you're going to try and want to find, like, you know, interesting places to go. Now, this is the primary thing to explore after you finish the campaign, and there's all sorts of things to find on here. There's bosses, there's towers, there's...
These are the towers.
Beast corruption, there's rare areas with interesting mechanics.
Ritual on this map, Breach on this map, Delhi on this map.
All sorts of in-game content that you can...
Abyss?
See the towers.
What was
there's
that?
Beast corruption, there's rare areas with interesting mechanics.
Savannah. 100% more chance to inflict elemental elements while unbound.
In-game content.
100% more chance to inflict elemental elements.
You can see these icons for around the place.
Abyss is not a league mechanic, Abyss. I think that's just the name of the layout.
Now, effectively, in order to travel to one of these, what you're going to do is click on it, and then you can...
Here we go. Here's the inventory.
Travel to it using a waystone.
So these are tablets, and these are waystones. So waystones are basically maps. They're basically keys so that you can open certain hideouts. These waystones
effectively work like maps did in Path of Exile 1. You can craft them and so on as well.
Why are there 4 slots? I don't know.
Once you've gone to the map...
they have not shown scarabs or anything like that. What you're going to find is a randomly generated...
Oh. Okay, he immediately clicked the portal back. Classic mistake.
That's an absolute classic.
So what you're going to find here is a randomly generated area, and we've really ramped the random generation up to 11 for this. Obviously, all the monsters here are also going to be random, and one thing I will mention is that the variety of monsters in PoE2 is a lot higher, and they have a lot more interesting abilities, which means that interesting combinations of the maps can really produce interesting results. These particular ones are that we've randomly picked here seem to be relatively simple, so I guess that point isn't that well made today, but that's all right. Now this monk is effectively the same kind of build that we were doing before.
I wonder if that's a mechanic or that was just a fluke. Like you freeze it and it just slid across because it was frozen.
It's a lot faster for in-game.
I wonder if that's like
physics.
We're
going to amp up a little bit further just to sort of see some of the kind of things that you can do in in-game as well. So after we've finished throwing this pack, then we'll do that. So let's open up this, and what we're going to do is this is a character that freezes a lot of things, so we're going to add a cast on freeze gem here.
Yeah, I mean this map has like no mechanics, no mods. He put in literally a white map with
every time you freeze a monster, it has the ability to
just to like show some.
Cast whatever spell of your choice. In this case, we're going to cast.
Yeah. Oh,
Frost Wall.
he's just putting like.
And we're going to add
in.
Fortress.
Cast on
and,
freeze.
Reduce cooldown to that.
So Fortress makes everything into like a circle. So you can put Fortress support on like Flame Wall, and it becomes like a circle, or on this
So that we can
Ice
cast
Wall,
them
and it
all
becomes
the
a
time,
circle.
and they're going to go in a circle around the monster that got frozen. So effectively, because it's
And
going to
you can
create a lot
blow
more
it up.
frozen objects around the monster, when you use your Glacial Cascade, they're going to do a lot more damage and
Minimap
explode
is
for,
gone. They probably turned it off for this. There is a map, of course.
for a huge amount of damage as well.
My video is privated for now. It might be back.
So the goal here is to cleanse the corruption on the map, and you do that by killing all the rares, and if there's a map boss, then killing the map boss as well. Now, there are map bosses that can spawn in every map, but we've actually decided to not have a map boss every time you go to them, and instead you can see which areas have map bosses on
This
them.
is big. So if you're building a character that doesn't have, you know, insane single target, you can technically just do a no boss strat, and you only do maps that don't have a boss, and you always know if a map has a boss or not.
Map. What that means is that we've got the ability to have the map bosses be a lot more challenging, but also drop a lot more items as well.
But
because you
then
don't
they can
encounter
make
them, quite
them
so
more
frequently.
rewarding.
And you can also choose, you know, do I want to do bossing, or do I want to just grind maps and do other things? So it kind of gives the player that choice. So once you've completed the map, it'll be green on the in this area, and then effectively allows you to continue to explore. Now this map is kind of somewhat randomly explored, so you know, don't concentrate too much on that. But effectively, you're going to be expanding outwards from the center. Now, of course, the other thing you can do is craft maps with currency
Deal with
items.
it is my answer on that one.
So if we get a you know, an orb of transmutation here, and we can use that on there to get
Okay, here we go. So you're rolling the maps.
a mod on the item. Now the prefixes are benefits to you, and the suffixes are negatives to you.
So prefixes are always upsides, and suffixes are always downsides. So prefixes are going to be like extra quant, extra rarity, extra pack size, extra XP, stuff like that. And suffixes are going to be the stuff that makes the map harder.
So this is something that we've changed a little bit how it works. So that means that you can just get a map that's just a straight up boon to you. If you do a single... if you turn it into a magic with only one mod. But of course, if you're going to turn it into a rare, you're going to get a variety of downsides and upsides, and all of them can have different effects. So once you've cleansed corruption from maps, then you can start to unlock the Atlas tree, which allows you to further upgrade your progression system.
If you get a map with a mod like Reflect element, is it just perma-bricked? First of all, we don't know if that mod exists. Second of all, there might be solutions for Reflect in this game, like there is in PoE1. There is multiple ways to solve for Reflect immunity in PoE1. I don't think they would add something like Reflect and then not give you any tools to solve that problem. So, yeah, but maybe if you have no other tools, there is always currency. You can always just get another Waystone and not run that, or sell it to someone else, or annul the mod if you really want to spend that much on a map.
For this thing. So here's the Atlas tree.
There is always going to be
now I've actually
solutions.
made,
So here, this is the basic Atlas tree. You can, all of this will work on every map, right? And then there is separate Atlas tree for every individual mechanic, and you get 8 points for each of those. So you can max out every tree, like 8 points on each of the side trees, and not miss out on them if you want to run like every mechanic. And then there is going to be some choice. There's 30 points in the core tree, and there is probably like 50 or I don't know how many points. Should we pause here and count? Like, more like 70 points. So you can probably spec like a little bit less than half of this. So there's still gonna be choice.
What we've actually done here is all the different types of content have their own trees. Each one of them is kind of like an ascendancy class, and then
he's not mousing over anything, man. He's so good.
A primary
God damn
tree that you get just for killing maps.
Yeah, you see 30 points
so
in the middle
there's a tree
here.
here for cleansing maps. There's also a tree for killing bosses, and then trees for doing other content on the Atlas as well.
Oh.
So you can kind of
hang on,
killing bosses, and then
he mouse over one thing.
Trees for doing other content on the
here. Precursor table effect. Increased effect of precursor tables on your maps. Precursor tablets. Sorry, not table. And remnants of power. 20% chance for double effect of precursor tablets on your maps. Okay.
On the Atlas as well. So
precursor.
So you kind of you don't have to choose between, well, rather, you can choose to do a piece of content, but
Wait, another one? What? Wait, stop. Was there a third one?
on the Atlas as well.
Okay. Oh, local knowledge. Okay. Swamp and water biome maps have 40% increased chance to drop basic currency. Mountain biome maps have 40% increased chance to drop gold. Forest biome maps have 40% increased chance to drop jewels. Desert, 40% increased chance to drop barriers and inscribed ultimatums. What is a barrier? It's a Sanctum book? Okay, so Sanctum coins and grass biome maps have 40% increased chance to drop socket currency. Okay, so with this node, you can target farm things based on what biome maps you're running. Holy shit. Mandatory node. Okay, so based on this, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 biomes. If this includes all biomes. Interesting. Local knowledge. Let's screenshot this.
The Atlas as well. So you can kind of you don't have to choose between, well, rather, you can choose to do a piece of content, but you're not going to be losing anything from any of the other pieces of content when you decide to do them later. Effectively, they all have their own kind of scaling in that way. So a random example here, 20% increased magic monsters in your maps. Another random example, I don't know, 20% increased quantity of waystones found on your maps. But there's also like keystones here, like rare and unique monsters in your maps have 1 to 2 additional modifiers. It also adds extra...
yeah, this is probably meant. If you're doing any rare strat, you know, rare monsters are the most rewarding other than bosses. So like you wanted to have more modifiers, kind of like in PoE where they have, if they have more modifiers, they drop more
drops as well.
But of course, they're
these are
harder
the kinds of
as
things
well.
that you can get on the tree, and that's one of the progression systems as well. Effectively, as I'm going through the Atlas tree here, but it's also kind of the gateway to a lot of the other mechanics. So, for example, here we see a map that's got this little hand icon, and that means that there is a breach in this map. There's also the boss icon there, which indicates there's a boss there as well. So we know there's a breach in there. You know, if you're looking for breaches, this is where you want to go. You can effectively always see the content that you're going to be able to face in maps as you look around the tree. And there's also going to be mechanics for adding more of them later, which we'll talk about as well. So at the start, you'll just have to find them randomly, but later on you can add them to maps too. So let's have a look at this.
Steaming Springs.
So breaches. So Breach is another one of the League sequels that we've done for Path of Exile 2. And
oh my god, so
it's also
many
one of
nodes.
the sort of pinnacle like in-game content grinds that you'll be able to progress through. Breaches are effectively small fissures in reality that let you see into an alternate plane where demons roam free. And touching a breach will cause it to expand and reveal all the demons there that are lurking on that plane.
Look at these guys carrying these massive logs.
We're going to have to warp, unfortunately, directly there, which is going to trigger immediately, so you won't get to see what it looks like before you trigger it. But Octavian can do that now. So when you trigger it, and this is a horrible location for it, when you trigger it, all of these demons will start to come out of the other plane. Now, as you kill the demons, it's going to extend the amount of time.
Oh my god, he's almost dying. This is a monk,
If you're a very good player,
this is a freezing
and you
monk.
can kill demons very quickly, you can keep this going for a very long time and like cover like half the map with it. If you're not as good, or maybe your build just isn't as strong, then you're not necessarily going to be able to do that. So it's very hectic. Oh yeah, there we go. So it's ended already.
I don't know exactly what kind of PC he played on. Like it's probably not the most modern
you have
PC,
to try,
but it's probably
if you're
a
very
good
fast
PC.
at kill speed, you're going to be able to take very good advantage of this particular mechanic.
But yeah, everything shown here is a build from 2 weeks ago, which might be a build from multiple weeks before that. So this footage is recorded exactly 1 month before the early access for everyone begins.
Now, breaches, of course, have their own rewards, which is why you're going to want to do
it is not final.
Let's just have a look
Nothing
on the ground.
here is final. It's
it.
also a dev build where he can literally input commands and teleport around if he wants. So, yeah.
Did it drop any?
There might be performance issues that stem from the fact that it's a dev build, or like we don't know. You know.
Breach Splinter. Right. So one of the so there's a couple of things that they drop. So one of them is catalysts, and the other one is splinters. So which one should we talk about first? How about the catalysts? So catalysts are a reward you can get only from Breach, and effectively what they do is increase the quality of specific modifiers on jewelry.
Wait.
Only from Breach, and which one should we talk about first? How about the
Ultimate is, I think, is the highest tier of lifelines.
Yeah, catalysts.
Yeah.
So
all right, so catalysts are kind of the same as in PoE 1. It's for rings and amulets, and you can improve
Catalysts are a
their
reward you
quality.
can get only from Breach, and effectively what they do is increase the quality of specific modifiers
However,
on jewelry. So this one here says, adds quality that enhances life modifiers on rings and amulets. So effectively, this is going to allow him, to, if you use that on,
show breach
on
rings
your
in a
ring or
bit.
amulet, it'll allow you to increase the, it'll add life quality that'll make the life roll on that amulet go up. This is an area of player power that sort of seems relatively subtle, but there's actually quite a lot.
There is an Empyrean item. I've already seen it.
To this that you can do. Breach also drops Breach Ring.
Here we go. This is a big one. Breach rings are no longer corrupted. Breach rings are gonna be like bitch rings. Other than some uniques that are good for your build, they go up to 50% quality. And they only come from Breach. So this is like the only way to get them. And you can put a lot of catalysts on them. Look, 200 life on this ring.
Which means that you can use those as base types to create some really crazy rings.
And 17 chaos res when you are not, you know, starting from minus 60
as well. So that's one of the forms of player power.
It's a really good ring, actually.
Only from Breach. The other thing you're going to find in
Breach Splinter.
They'll sort of unlock the Pinnacle boss are these Breach Splinters. So if you collect 300 Breach Splinters, it'll allow you to make a Breachstone that will allow you to go to the Breach Domain where you can fight one of the Pinnacle bosses.
Why 300?
Now we're actually going to show you this Pinnacle boss for this particular league mechanic just because it's nice to see one. But we're not going to show you any of the other Pinnacle bosses in this demo.
So they actually have a Breachstone here and he's putting in the Breachstone. So Breachstones exist.
All the different types of content that we have here all have their own Pinnacle bosses that we can do. Now, this is effectively a map that's a single large breach, and you're going to have to be able to race through the entire map in the amount of time to be able to get there and finish it.
You collect 300 breach splinters. You open it, and you get frozen here or something. You don't have a charm. You die.
And you can see the kind of creepy hand
minus
stuff
300
going on as their theme there. That's as it gets revealed.
Jesus Christ, what is that? Clasp hands on the breaches. Didn't click it. I don't know if you have to run over or... Oh, you can run over. Okay. So same as in PoE1, you can run over clasped hands. And they open. You don't have to click them. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, he actually gets really close to failing this one. Look at the timer. Oh my god, he's almost dying. See, this like jump ability has like no cooldown, so he could just spam this jump to like get ahead of like positionally if you want to. Oh my god, but he's getting hits really hard. Seconds. We're all sitting there like, is he gonna make it? Like, what if he doesn't make it? Eat that watches, eat that creeps. He pushed it out with the ice wall. Eat that claws, eat that crawls, eat that grasps. 5, 4. He did it.
Looks like he did it. Alright, so now if we keep going here, we're going to get to the boss.
Yeah, it's Octavian playing.
That dream.
Here we go.
We in nightmare. We that power.
Look, it's the hands from the Twitch drops.
She of stolen cruelty.
You have this if you watch the live stream. It's Xesht. It's the Breach Pinnacle boss. So there is an entity in Path of Exile 1 called Xesht, which is all of the breaches combined, right? Zoth, Ash, Ultimatum, Chayula, and Tool. But this is only Xesht, so there's no Ultimatum and no Chayula. But Chayula is an ascendancy for the monk. We who are one. Oh my god, the screen shake of this ability. So this is a Pinnacle boss of one of the league mechanics, Breach, right? But I don't think it's the most difficult one. In fact, I don't even think he has any points spent in the Breach tree. So this is the base difficulty of the Breach endgame with a level 95 character. We don't know how geared he is. We don't know how good his build is. You know, we don't know how juiced this character is, but he has 2 points spent out of his 8 points. Yeah. Of course he doesn't. I'm sure they could have added some crazy gear to him and then one-shot the boss, but like, of course that's not the point of this. They want to like show the boss animations. No, 40, the entire minion fight was a 40k HP mob. And now he's doing like 100k and it was like this much. He just did 200k and the boss HP moved like this much. So this boss has millions of HP probably. Or like a million at least, I don't know. It's hard to say from just this. See, he just did, it was like here, and he just did 100k, so this is 100k. Yeah, it definitely has more than a million. It's like 5 mil. Yeah. And of course, again, like I said, this is an old build. This all could change, or I'm sure during early access things will change. So, you know, none of this is final. The bell. Oh, we just did 700k. Yeah, he's stunned. He's stunned, so he was, even though he's stunned, he's still doing stuff, but he was taking a lot more damage. Yeah, the stun is gone now. It's going away. Alpha isn't out, beta isn't out, early access isn't out. People craft a build. Listen, just wait 2 weeks and make a better build. The tool ability. I can talk about my plans after. No, I don't have a build yet or anything. Oh my god, he almost died.
Wisdom and action.
Almost. Oh wait, I think he actually died, didn't he? Yeah, the lightning is the Ash move. Okay, cut to the end. Yo. Tier 3 advanced layered gauntlets. And 4 rares, dude. That's a lot of loot. In this game. Nice. I wonder what that is. I don't know what tier 3 is.
Alright, so that's an example of a Pinnacle boss, and we're not going to show you the rest of them, but that's just kind of give you a flavor for what an in-game Pinnacle boss might be like. But just like all of the Pinnacle bosses, when you defeat them, you're going to get points for the Ascendancy tree.
There's also uniques, which we didn't drop here, but like there's going to be uniques that are only coming from Pinnacle bosses and only coming from certain league mechanics.
Tree for that particular content. So this is the Breach one
here. What does tier 3 mean? I have no idea.
The idea is that you kill the boss, you make the whole league more difficult, and then you can
Ultimate
beat the boss
life
again at a higher difficulty and get more points.
Highest tier.
So the first point here you're going to see is...
So this is how... So look, he had 3 things spec'd. If all of these are difficulty, then this was a 3+3 difficulty.
+1 to Twisted...
Wait, actually no, he has 2 points spent. So at most it was +2 difficulty
main
from
difficulty,
base.
which is going to effectively make Breach harder. It says here, difficulty causes monsters to have increased damage and toughness, as well as making them grant more experience to drop better items.
Mm-hmm. That's for I think
specific damage and toughness is
here. So you can click the difficulty thing and it tells you what it does.
As well as making them grant more experience to drop better items. But there's also effectively specific...
He had non-spec'd actually. He has 2 points, he just hasn't spent any. So that was the base difficulty for the Pinnacle, for the Breach.
Quick
Pinnacle
nodes
boss.
that will give you interesting changes to that league mechanic. So, for example, class hands in your maps have a 25% chance to be guarded by a pack of magic monsters. Breaches in your maps have 50% more classed hands. Those things are effectively like breach chests that you find as the breach expands there. So that's like a bonus that you might choose to pick. There's
gonna
lots
be
of other
hard,
ones here
man.
that you could pick as well. And as I said, each of the different types of content all have their own trees here that you can do your own stuff with. So that is actually, wait, there's one more thing that we forgot to tell you about, and this is kind of important, which is tablets. Okay, right, I should have gone over that earlier, so we'll just do it now. So effectively, right, when you do a breach in your maps, one of the things that you might find, and this is kind of important, are tablets. Now, tablets are items in your inventory that you can use with these towers.
We can look at that
if
later.
you open your inventory there and we have a look at he's just finding a good place.
Here we go,
So
tablets
when you play
time.
breaches, you might find these breach tablets. And what this does is effectively adds more breaches to maps in the vicinity. So this says add 8 maps in range. 8 maps in range contain breaches, and breaches in your map spawn an additional rare monster.
So you can put this in a tower, kind of like a sextant, but you use up the tablet, you put in the tower, and then the tower picks 8 random maps in its range and puts breach on them with the extra mods that you can actually roll on the tablet.
So if you throw,
So it's kind of single-use rollable sextants.
tower,
But all of these maps you can only run once, and then once you've run this green map, it's done. You can never rerun it again. So you have to keep progressing on this like delve map or you know, this infinitely scaling map, and sometimes you will find places that overlap 2, 3, 4, 5 towers. And so you can create some giga-juiced maps with these tablets.
it gives you this interface. You can put the tablet in there,
The blue is the runnable one. The green is what you've already ran.
and then when you use it, it affects the local area and adds a bunch of breaches around the place. So what that means is that all the content is self-reinforcing. If you want to play breaches, then you're going to find this, these tablets. You're going to use those to add more breaches to maps in the area, and also
Yeah, I think red is fail.
to boost what the breaches are doing, and then which will get you more tablets, which will get you more and more, and so on. So it's effectively a way to, if you're choosing breach is the thing I want to be doing, then that means that you can effectively self-sustain breach for as long as you want to, and sort of effectively turn your map into that. This is
So there are going to be buttons. So of course you think like, oh, so eventually this atlas is going to be huge. Like you can scroll for minutes and minutes and minutes of like what you've progressed already. There is going to be hotkeys that like move you to your last ran map, move you to your hideout, move you to your last used tower. So like, you know, like saved screens.
This is the true for all the different mechanics that you can find on the atlas.
They said that in the Q&A.
Ritual and Expedition and Delirium right there. So, all right. So that's kind of important. So,
Cataclysm's Wake. Complete tier 1 maps. Obtain 3 keys to open the locked door. Defeat Count Gano. Okay, he skipped some campaign bosses here. And he has to get some keys to open the locked door.
So what we've covered here effectively is, okay, obviously, actually, one thing I
mostly
failed
campaign
to
stuff.
mention is that, you know, there are uniques you only get from that Pinnacle boss, of course, and so on. There are uniques you only get once you get the difficulty of that Pinnacle boss up to a certain level. So, of course, once again...
So one of the devs responded, I think in Aux chat, that you cannot hard brick yourself. Like, let's say your atlas starts like this, and you go this way and you brick this map. You go this way, you brick this map. You go this way and you brick this map. And you go this way and you brick this map. Now you can't progress anyway, and your entire account is bricked. They have fail safes for that. You can probably do like a hard reset or something along those lines. Also, there's a big thing I wanna say about this. This is if you look at this, so every time you go into a map, you die. That's it. The map is bricked. You can no longer try that map again. Doesn't matter that you have 6 portals. Your first death in the current iteration is what they said in the Q&A, bricks the map. So that is really scary if you're coming from the PoE1 6 portal defensive layer cast on death portal gameplay. But this is not PoE1. This is PoE2. You have to come at it from the PoE2 angle of I just completed the campaign where every single boss fight I had to beat or I have to go again, right? It's not PoE1 where you just have some leveling build and then you switch to some glass cannon build and you just like 6 portal through every map. The only way to get to endgame is to beat every campaign boss or every required campaign boss and actually not die during that boss. Because if you die in the boss boss goes back to full HP and you have to try again. So with that context, it's much more different. Like, oh, okay, I just beat the campaign, I just beat all these bosses. and I didn't die on those bosses, in the final attempt at least. So, are you sure about this? Yes, I'm 100% sure about this. They said this in the Q&A. So, you do have 6 portals. You saw 6 portals there in this footage, and you will have 6 portals. So, if you fill up your inventory, you can TP up and bank your stuff and go back in the map. You can do that 6 times, or you can go in with 6 players, right? Or 2 players, 3 player, 4 player, 6 player, whatever. But if you die in the map, in solo, the map is bricked. You also cannot res each other in the maps in party. You can res each other in the campaign if you die during a boss or in an open zone, but you cannot res each other in mapping. So in endgame, a death is permanent for that map in the current iteration, as we know, going into early access. So yeah, it's like kind of halfway between softcore and hardcore. It's like, I don't know, medium core or something. But that's their design angle, and that's how they want to do things. Have you heard if you can solo tag a boss and goon squad? We have no idea. We have no idea about any of the group stuff. My only group experience is like 20 minutes of duoing with Subtractum in Act 2, killing some stuff. It was fun. We have no idea how 3, 4, 5, 6 man groups play, and I'm really looking forward to actually trying that out. So
each in-game grind
we'll
has to
find
have
out
a way to expand it, a way to make it more difficult, a way to specialize into it, a way
days.
to get rewards that are specific.
Why 6 portals? So that you can carry out loot. If you manage to fill up your inventory somehow, and there's still more of the map to clear, you can TP out, dump in your stash, and go back and keep clearing the map.
To that.
Maybe you are looking for a lot of, looting a lot of bases for crafting or whatever.
Next.
So, yeah, you can leave as long as you're leaving and not dying, and then go back. But if you die, the map is bricked.
Let's talk about Expedition.
Also refill flasks, true. You can refill flasks in Hideout. If you run out of flask in the map, you can TP out, refill, go back.
So once again, we've done another sequel to a leak from PoE1. This one's Expedition.
How many maps? We don't know.
We'll put a map.
Alright, Expedition. We know what Expedition is. This map actually has a Breach, a Delirium, and Ritual on it. That's actually crazy. Wait, sorry, that's not Delirium. That's Expedition. So this map has 3 mechanics on it, but they're only going to do Expedition.
We're just going to do the Expedition.
We know what Expedition is.
So what Expedition is, effectively there are some Khalgurans, group of people called Khalgurans who are trying to dig up some old burial sites from their ancestors, and the goal is try to get Verisium relics that are left over from their past. If you've played PoE1, the mechanic is quite similar. Effectively what you're going to...
Oh, sorry guys. Exclusive endgame preview just dropped to lure in more Diablo 4 players. Are you guys ready for this? Here we go, guys. So the Zestula new HP bar just dropped, guys. It's 468 quadrillion. I'm just kidding. Okay, for legal reasons, this is a joke. This is a photoshopped image. Thanks.
See is all of these markers here on the ground that are going to tell you whereabouts things are buried, and they're going to dig these things up using explosives. So effectively, you have to choose carefully where you're going to place the explosives in order to be able to get the most amount of bonus.
Okay, so we know
also these things called remnants here that give you both bonuses
pretty much the
and
same as in
downsides for doing them. After you blow up the remnant, all the future monsters after that.
And immunities are still in the game. Shoutouts to Diablo 2 coming out fucking 30 years ago or whatever. And setting the standard for, oh fuck, my build can't do this mod because it's immune to all of my damage. But you can just pause the game and swap out your support gems, and now you do cold damage instead of lightning. So this game will give you probably even more tools to solve for that.
Be stronger, but more rewarding.
I don't know about more than PoE1, but definitely more than Diablo 2.
Dynamite charges. In a string, and
or just don't click that node, of course.
He will be able to.
That is always an option.
And,
there is immune to fizz here.
Now he's choosing carefully which remnants he wants to use based on his build. He wouldn't want, for example, to make all the monsters immune to.
And look, this button is still here, so you can, after you placed everything, I'm guessing you can still mouse over this, and then everything that you clicked is gonna be like sorted here.
Ice, because that would completely destroy.
Reading.
Now, there are lots of interesting things to find under the ground. There's like chests, and there can often be caverns and things like that. Once you get to the end game system, the
desert,
Pinnacle start content for this league, there's going to be bosses and so on to find and things like that.
That's X1. Jesus.
Now the purpose of killing all these monsters primarily is...
there's the ritual. See, there's a ritual north of him, but
he's... artifacts.
They're showing the expedition. Look, exotic coinage exists, which means 2-gen exists, which means
Coinage.
haggling
There's
exists,
various other things like that on
probably.
the ground. They also have these chests.
They have
that drop
not
items.
shown
There's a
that.
broken circle.
Artifacts are now lootable. So, sorry, they are now itemized. So they are not like walkover, like gold, or walkover artifacts. But I think there is only one type of artifact per faction. So if you're doing a 2-gen expedition, there is just broken circle artifact, and that's it. That's the only artifact, which is good and bad because, oh, you have to click more to loot them. But there's not as much loot as in PoE1, so you're already clicking way less. And that also means that they are probably tradable. So if you don't want to engage with haggling or expedition or whatever, then you can just do expedition and sell your coins and sell your artifacts to other people who do want to engage with that. Oh, he also found a unique. Oh, he mouse overed it, but it's unidentified. So I don't know if we're gonna see that one.
Nice. You might as well identify it. I don't know which one that
Oh,
is.
hell yeah, they're checking.
Let's have a look. This is just unscripted.
Unscripted unique drop. Apron of Emiran. Bleeding you inflict is aggravated. In true PoE fashion, we have no idea what that means, but you can click it and find out.
Apron of Emerian. Bleeding you inflict is aggravated.
Oh, what is aggravated? Bleeding that has been aggravated always treats the target as moving, dealing 200% extra damage. Oh, shit. So it's always moving bleed. Damn. Okay. PoE1 has this, apparently. That just shows how much I don't play bleed builds. Here, guys, look. I have 15,000 hours in PoE1. I have never played a bleed build, and I don't know what aggravated was up until now, okay? Just saying. This is how deep this game is.
Which says that aggravated bleeding does 200% extra damage. Right, cool. So this is a bleed build type
Cool.
thing. Whatever.
Okay.
Anyway,
Beginner player,
once
by
you've
the
got
way.
these artifacts, then you can trade them with the Kalgurans for various different rewards. And once again, I'm not, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go into too much into this.
Okay.
But probably
Not gonna show
one of
the
more
2-gen
interesting ones
gambling.
is using crafting with a guy called Rog.
Oh, they are going to show rock crafting, actually.
Look. So Rog effectively has a shop where he'll
Yes,
sell you different
they are
items.
showing Rog
You
here.
can re-roll it using the currency as well.
Oh, so there's 3 types of artifacts here. Okay, so there's not 4 types, there's 3 types, at least with Rog. I don't know about 2-gen. Maybe 2-gen is only going to have 1, and then everything you buy from the window is only going to be that one. We don't know. So Rog has 3 types of artifacts. Danik has 1, I think, and 2-gen probably has 1. We'll see.
But once you find something that you want to kind of start with,
Oh, exotic coinage is used at Rog, actually. Interesting.
which
Okay.
maybe you don't.
So
There-
maybe there is not even 2-gen gamble or haggling.
then
We'll see.
what you can do is after you buy it, he'll offer to do various crafts. Okay, so this is an interesting one, Steve. Before you
69 life and attack speed. Dude, that's pretty...
click anything, so what this is going to do is remove all prefix modifiers from the item. So if we
Oh, exotic coinage is used for all expedition NPCs. Oh, so they normalized it all, and you can just decide which one you want to engage
like
with.
the prefixes,
Okay.
we probably want to skip this one and not do it.
We'll see. This is super in progress, right? We don't know. Like,
Let's skip this one.
yeah, we don't know.
We
These
got
are
the same
just
one again, which is very
guesswork.
annoying.
Okay.
So I guess we just have to do it then. Then re-roll suffix modifiers. Now there's quite a lot of different modes
7% leech. Wait, that's a lot of leech, isn't it?
here, but effectively you get various ability to modify the item before
Attack
you go.
speed was a
I think this one is
prefix.
going to turn out to
Yep.
be completely crap. With a
It's
single
fizz
modifier,
only,
the lowest
yeah.
modifier level.
I mean, that's good for a bleed build.
Sure. I guess you can just take it. Anyway, that was a pretty crap example, but
That was a terrible
the,
rock craft, but that's just how it goes
effectively
sometimes.
this is a crafting system that allows you to make some pretty interesting items.
All right.
Now, the other thing you're going to get from expeditions, other
Destroy.
than the tablets
Yep.
that allow you to do more of them, is
But there is 2-gen, and there is Gwenan here, and there is Danny G.
what else?
Danny G has buy items, so you can still... we don't know if that's a vendor window or actual Danny G window. However,
we have
there is
here?
logbooks.
Right, we'll just do the logbooks next. Okay, right, so we've got logbooks. So if you can get a logbook, it effectively allows you to do a like super expedition, which is like an area that has only expedition. These logbooks have various mods and things as well.
He hasn't aged a day. Dude, the PoE2 takes place 20 years after PoE1, and all the NPCs are...
And then once you go there, then you can do an expedition
They
that
seem
has
pretty young.
a lot more you get a lot more dynamite to make it a much larger string. So there's a lot more strategy in picking what type of things you want to
Alright, here
find.
we go.
Also, if you
Logbooks.
there's also things like bosses and uniques and like special underground
So
area.
logbooks kind of same as PoE1. It's a giant expedition encounter.
So there's just quite a lot of
way
stuff
more
in the underground
dynamite.
you want to do. So at least find an underground area maybe.
I'll skip through. He's just like placing all the explosives.
Although I hear the balance of this league is a bit wrong at the moment, so he might get one shot. So we'll see. As the remnants trigger, all of the monsters are going to get harder. So they might get pretty hard by the end, even if they're easy at the start.
Exit coinage or their artifacts. There was runic markers oh yeah, you're right actually. Oh, I thought you meant remnants. Yeah, there's chests and regular monsters. I don't see like big runic monsters, but I saw remnants that had runic markers in the words on them. No. Yeah, I mean this is like an unrolled logbook probably. Hopefully we still have the Oppenheimer node for the in-map expeditions, yeah. Oh, look, that seems like a runic monster. Yeah. There is runic monsters, look. It's him. He's runic. He just didn't, you know, cover a lot of them, probably. Coinage drop. Yeah.
Right, so rather than keeping on killing those guys, we'll just quickly show you one of the things that he found. So there was a sub area down here where called Hidden Aquifer. There's quite a lot of variety of different things like this.
Underground areas, same as in current logbooks.
But yeah, as I said, some of them contain bosses.
Like
they all
extra
contain
mobs,
interesting
extra
rewards
stuff.
that can be unique just to them. So yeah, there's quite a lot of things you're going to want to find.
Long-cut support gem. I wonder how much value support gems will have. Especially early on when people want to like try everything.
So like all of the end games, completing the most difficult content in this end game is going to allow you to get points to put in the ascendancy tree, make it more difficult, add more of them, that kind of thing. So yeah, let's go on to the next one.
All right. Next.
Oh, you might as well show the Atlas tree as well. So there's an...
Oh! Extreme archaeology. Number of explosives is 1. The big bomba exists. Yes. 100% increased placement range, 150% explosive radius.
An example here which makes the number of explosives to 1, so that you only get one really large explosive rather than having to do a whole string of them in your maps.
Good.
Maybe just a randomly interesting one. All right, let's have a look at the next one, which is Ritual. So Ritual is one of the other in-game grinds.
Okay, Ritual time.
When you enter a map with this mechanic, you're going to find these ritualistic circles through the area. Oh, so there's one right there. Great. So when you kill monsters inside them, it effectively grants the monsters as tribute. And so when you summon the ritual, all the monsters that you killed within that ritual circle will spawn again. Why does that root spider have no eyes?
Oh, there's a breach also.
Let's not worry about that. Now, of course, because the league mechanics overlap, you would be able to kill breach monsters inside the circle and summon them again by the
there is beyond.
ritual, I believe.
That's not how it functions in
so
PoE1.
when you use the ritual, it effectively closes you off into a small area, and you have to fight all the monsters that you killed in that circle again.
Yeah, he said overlap, but
it empowers them. There are multiple rituals through the area. So after each time you do this, you get a type of points called tribute that you can then spend on items.
Okay,
but if you're willing to risk it and make the rituals even more powerful,
Production.
you go to another ritual circle, kill more monsters inside of it, and then you'll be able to make the it'll summon both the ones from this circle and from the subsequent circle as well, making the rituals very, very tough by the time.
Maybe that's the guy. Maybe that's open world games, and they just wanted to like show.
We get to the end.
Or I don't know.
There's one last monster over there.
Because it's like the same guy that was showed like 3 times. Yeah, I don't know. PoE2 has a random
So then when you click on the ritual,
Alright, here we go, shopping time.
It'll open the screen here, which allows you to spend tribute.
Transmute.
Now, I don't think we want to spend too long on this, but effectively, this is the reward mechanic for Ritual, and the more tribute you get, the more things you get. Jesus Christ.
Classic. He can't, like, this is so classic PoE. He can't look at the Ritual, because there's mobs coming in one by one, and now he killed enough that actually Beyond spawns. And this is the first time we're all sitting there like, oh shit, wait, is that Beyond?
Oh, the map is Beyond. Wait, is that because it was a corrupted map? Okay, right.
They have never mentioned Beyond up until now, and now we're like, oh,
map,
okay.
by the way.
Apparently, this is supposed to be a corrupted map, and it has Beyond.
Every time you kill monsters, it's got this mechanic called Beyond, where it leaves these little orbs behind, and then demons can get summoned from them.
All right, and now we can look at the Ritual.
That's just one of the random corruption outcomes you can get due to beast corruption in a map.
Of course, leaked Beyond.
Anyway,
accidentally.
right. So this is tribute. You can buy items. None of these look particularly amazing, but do you have a?
Oh, what about the staff though? Okay, no, that's not amazing.
An omen in there? No. Okay, so in that way, we've got the inventory. Right. So one of the things that you're going to be looking for this are omens. So omens are a high-level crafting item that you can use to make more targeted changes to your items. So let's have a look at what they do. So here's an item here where we might like the prefixes, but thinks the suffixes are crap. Normally what you might want to do is either re-roll them with a Chaos Orb or maybe remove them with a Orb of Annulment. But
here we go.
You can't.
Omen of Dextron Omens. So this was shown in the live stream as well. This is basically an Eldritch Annul for suffixes, but you're not committing the item to, to like be like this Eldritch, like red or blue or whatever. It's just like a target suffix annul.
Normally choose which mod to remove. This is an Omen of Dextral Annulment. What that does is while this item is active in your inventory, your next Orb of Annulment will remove only suffix modifiers. So if you use that, and then use an Orb of Annulment, it'll only remove suffixes, not prefixes. And if you want to remove another suffix, he's got another one there. So this is a way of kind of doing meta crafting on items that allow you to make targeted changes. And with this, you can make some pretty...
He presses Alt to like, or he presses the thing to show the range, but you can't tell if they're like suffixes or prefixes. But I mean...
broken stuff. There's another one here that says...
This one is double Exalt. Omen of Greater Exaltation. Instead of one, it'll be...
While this item is active in your inventory, your next Exalted Orb will add 2 modifiers. That just effectively is a double Exalt. This kind of thing is like a pretty simple one, but there are...
You can, it's just really tiny text.
That just effectively is another one here that says that allow you to make...
Oh, you can. Okay, so these are prefixes, and the rest is suffix. So mana and life is prefix, implicit here. Okay, you can actually see it, and then you can see the tiers of them. So the highest tier I have seen, but that might not be correct, is T13. So T1 is the lowest mod. They flip them around in PoE2. So in PoE1, T1 is the best mod. In PoE2, T1 is the lowest mod. And then the higher the tier of the mod, the better the mod is. So this allows them to, I guess, further like add stuff that isn't gonna be like T0 or T minus 1.
Oh, you like this?
So T13 is the highest tier I've seen.
Targeted changes, and with this you can make some pretty fires. That just effectively is a double exalt. This kind of thing is like a pretty simple one, but there are a lot of these.
Reduced charm charges used.
And they do very interesting things. So that's just a sort of interesting way of crafting. It's one of the types of player power you can get only from this league. Of course, like other in-game mechanics, there's an uber boss for this as well, and killing that boss is going to get you points in the... we don't actually have to go there.
They show the audience with the king. That's probably the ritual Pinnacle boss.
But we'll get you points for the Atlas tree.
Oops, we don't have to go there.
So that's one of the other grinds as well. Right, next up we'll talk about Delirium.
All right.
So in Delirium maps, your mind is going to be infected by a mysterious entity known as Tang Mizzou. You see these mirrors, and when you go through them, it kind of affects your mind and starts creating all these nightmare creatures, as well as affecting, kind of giving these strange things for other monsters as well.
What do you think of the new crafting? I don't know. I will form my opinion once I actually engage with it. It's way too early to say.
So there's the Delirium right there.
Interested to try it out. That's what I think. I don't have a well-formed
So as you can
opinion.
see, it infects your mind, and you get this like mysterious mist that goes to the area.
The mist is back.
It both spawns new monsters as well as affecting the existing monsters in interesting ways.
Yes, that means you lose all the portals. So, yes.
This is either going to be based
Now the main
or
thing you're going to be looking for in this league are called distilled emotions. Hopefully one drops and we can have we can show you what they do. But if not, we've got one in the inventory.
Oh, you like this? Oh, you like this?
Delhi is an easy way to fail the map, probably. Monster level 78 map with just back size and a Delhi.
Now, if you're able to keep up with this mechanic, then you might be able to cover the entire map in it, in which case you can get some bonuses on map bosses as well.
RF or Cyclone. So I don't know all of the skills, obviously, but I would be really surprised if there was no RF or no Cyclone when PoE2 comes out. I don't know if it's gonna be there at the start of early access with 6 classes and 12 ascendancies. There's gonna be hundreds of skills because there's 6 classes with 20 plus unique skills of each class.
So there's some distilled emotions.
But I don't know if it's I don't know if RF is there or
we have distilled
Cyclone.
ire and distilled paranoia. Now what this allows you to do is craft mods onto your amulet that grant you passives from your passive tree.
If I had to guess, yeah, because they want more active gameplay, RF is probably gonna be maybe more of a cooldown that you press and then it's up for like 10-20 seconds or whatever, and it's like very strong, but it's not like all the time. But maybe eventually you can build a character with enough CDR or enough other stuff where you press something else that's kind of like RF and like you like supplement these things. We don't know. Like the game is too deep with so many, you know, passive points and support gems and ascendancies that people are gonna come up with some crazy shit, especially with like hundreds of uniques in the game.
The crafting window for that. So effectively,
right.
if you put your amulet
so
in there,
Delhi is the source
then,
for
if you do a combination of 3
anointments.
different distilled emotions,
So
then it
Blight
will
is
allow you
gone
to
for now.
get a bonus.
But the anoints are still in, and they're called paranoias, or what are these? What are these items called?
Effectively, if you put your amulet in there, then if you do a
Distilled, oh, it's like distilled emotions. So distilled
Combination
despair,
of 3
distilled suffering,
different,
distilled greed,
distilled
and then
emotions, then it will allow you
anoint,
to get a bonus
notable from your tree.
passive, what's it called? A notable from the passive tree. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit through a lot here.
Yeah, he's been like constantly talking for like an hour and a half. It's like crazy presentation. Like
so that one's quick recovery.
He's done a really good job
on block recovery. Regenerate 10% of life over.
And this is not some like, you know, giga scripted like sit down like multiple takes or whatever. Like he like sitting there and like he has like a presentation like some slides and stuff to look at, but like he's like
1 second when
doing this in one take, like zero.
Now once again, this is a type of player power you only get from here, but you can also use them on maps as well. So if you put them on maps, then it allows you to add bonus mods to them to the map, in addition to the rare mods that you can normally get. So it's another form of juicing that you.
So you can also anoint maps. Increased magic monsters, increased number of rare monsters, 39% delirious, 50% increased tablets found in the area.
You can do on for in-game as well. Right, so that
More
is
juicing.
Delirium.
You have a link to the video? Yeah,
Now,
it's
all
pinned.
of these different mechanics from the different in-game grinds kind of can be added with each other. If you open up the map, you can kind of start to add multiple mechanics overlapping with those towers. You can juice maps with, you know, the thing like mechanic we just said. You're allocating points in the Atlas tree. Effectively, altogether, it allows you to really boost from the bottom of the Atlas to the top of the Atlas to really improve the content that you're doing to the point that it can get pretty crazy. But there is one more. In-game grind, which I'm not going to really talk too much about, but it relates to that that little object there. So
Node -15-1 map Uber boss monolith.
effectively, this is where the Uber Pinnacle boss is. And we can travel to the entrance, but we won't be able to actually get in because we don't have to meet the requirements yet. But effectively, there are around the map various ways to get keys to be able to enter this area. It's kind of mysterious, and this is the hardest content in the game.
Listen, look, Octavian like goes close to the door, and listen how Jonathan reacts.
So when you play the game, you'll have to try it out. But effectively, inside this area, you will don't actually go in there. Inside.
Don't actually go in.
Inside there, you'll be able to fight the Uber Pinnacle boss as well.
Octavian's like, should I go in?
For the sort of hardest challenge in the game, that is something that I think players really enjoy.
I thought that was a really cool moment.
So this is a sort of basic overview of how the end game works.
Basic overview,
there was
1.5 hours.
there. Quite a lot of sequels to leaks from PoE1 as well.
Do not click
but,
this.
You
Do
can
not
sort of see, I
click
guess,
this.
the beginnings of a system that we're going to be expanding a lot over time. As we add more of these PoE1 League sequels, and as we add more content that leagues to PoE2, we've effectively got a lot of space here to be able to add as much to this in-game as possible.
Hell
The Atlas tree with all its different little, what you might call, you know, the ascendancy kind of cluster type things for all the different content. All of these things, you know, adding all of these ascendancy kind of cluster type things.
The NT ritual. Do not redeem. Monsters, sacrifices, ritual altars grant 5% tribute. Okay, I mean, that's a pretty boring node for a big node.
Content. All of these things.
Do not touch. Crux of nothingness. Okay, here is ritual difficulty.
You know, adding.
Rituals contain 2 additional packs of wildwood monsters.
We're going to add one every time we add a league.
Waystones found in your maps have random instilled emotions applied. Okay.
To effectively allow you to scale this stuff.
Can you link the video?
So that
Yeah,
means
it's
that
pinned.
there is a large gap.
Delirium fog in your maps have double difficulty scaling with distance from the mirror. Simulacrum splinters found in your maps are doubled.
Ability to have a lot of content here. So that sort of shows you, I guess, as a quick rundown of the.
Increased quantity of items dropped from map bosses. Ooh. Bossing tree. 25%.
Content in early
from
access.
map bosses.
Even though it is early access, there's a lot of content here. There's a lot to do in endgame. There's the campaign plus the cruel version of the the first half of the campaign plus the cruel version of the campaign, and all of that is, I guess, going to be coming out on December 6th. Yeah. So. How do you get access? Well, the answer is to that is that we're going to be releasing a bunch of supporter packs in the relatively near future when we announce all this content. And the lowest supporter pack, the $30 one, contains a key to get access to the early access for Path of Exile 2. So if you buy one of those, you'll both get points, which you can use to spend to buy, you know, whatever it is in the cosmetic store that you want to buy, as well as get access to PoE2. And any of our existing supporters who have spent more than, I think it's around $500, you know, basically the highest tier supporter pack in the past, will also get access for free as well. So we're expecting to, because effectively, you know, like it is a game the size of most retail games that come out. We would expect like a pretty significant number of players to be able to play, but there's still a lot of work for us to do. Obviously, we've got a lot more content to add, and a lot more things to do, and you know, there's by the time we're finished, I'm hoping that PoE2 will be, you know, as we get to release, will feel like it's as large as PoE1 is easily. But yeah, that's all we have for you today, and hopefully you enjoyed it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, claps, big claps for Jonathan. Thank you very much, guys. I'll put this random AFK footage in the back while we stand here and yap. But yeah, that was the LA event presentation basically in its entirety. With a tiny bit of editing, they cut some like stuff where they like teleported around and stuff. Yeah. It was really hard to not talk about this for 2 weeks, knowing like some of this endgame stuff and like, whew. But yeah, they did an amazing job with the live stream. The live stream showed like even more stuff. They showed like essences, they showed strongboxes. We didn't know that those are in the game, so there's a lot more. Other than these like 7 mechanics they have, they also have like the essences, the strongboxes that are like everywhere. I guess it's not like a single league mechanic. It's like it can be in every map. Like shrines also they showed. So yeah, exciting stuff. So what are my plans? I have no idea, other than the fact that I want to play with my friends. Our plan is to play in a 6-player party. We don't know who's playing what. We don't know who's playing. We don't know what classes. We haven't made any like exact plans, other than just log in and play and have fun and try to come up with builds on the spot, you know, that support each other and we can actually kill stuff, you know, block support, freeze support, tank that tanks the boss with taunts. We don't know what the meta is gonna be like. I think our best guess is that we just log in with whatever makes sense, and then once we, you know, get to endgame and we figure more out, we see more uniques, we see more nodes, we see the whole tree, and we can actually like do builds, then maybe reroll to something that actually makes sense, more of a 6-player setup. But that's my plans. Thank you for watching this giant yapping video. If this is on YouTube, you know, like and subscribe, all that stuff. There will be a lot more PoE content, especially once early access launches. So thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!